same bad channel. For now, though, we do have the big kahunas in Brendan.
Hey, guys.
Desk.
Hey guys, yeah, let's get into the final couple hours of a pretty active Monday here. We are starting to rally back to the upside, but negative in a decent way. I'll show you the market in a second. Just keeping my eye on a few other things, including the longer-term yields back to basically November levels right now. 475 on the 30-year, about the same November levels for the 10-year currently. So big move up once again, coming off what happened last week. That's the dollar. 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row here, straight higher. We're all the way back to 106 for the DXY this afternoon. We'll talk about some earnings. If I zoom out here on GS, still holding on to a pretty good day. Bounced off $400 there. We lost connection there for a little while, so that's the gap you'll see in charts. We're missing some data. So just be aware, because there's going to be a few that look like that for the rest of the afternoon. That's how the S&P 500 is looking right now. Pretty ugly. 4.5%. I'll show you Tesla here in a second. But yeah, continues downside. If you missed it during the lunch hour, reports come out suggesting it's closer to 20% on the job reductions instead of 10% that was reported initially this morning. Banks still holding out a little bit better than the rest. You saw Goldman there down here, 3% still. Some others still showing some strength. WFC, Morgan Stanley, Schwab, they reported this morning. If you missed it, still up 2%. JP Morgan was Friday, still holding on to a positive day, but only just. It's all about big tech, downside, right across the board, the entire thing. Pretty red right now. Intel is still positive. There's a little bit I saw over here as well. CVS, UNH, ELV, Merck still holding on to green. Hey, Nike's up 1.25% this afternoon. So a few things still in decent shape. Yeah, 4.6%. We're right at these levels on the daily chart right now for Tesla needing to hold on to 160, or it could be in a bit of trouble. Just be aware, Musk making some comments right now as well in regards to corruption and the Trump trial. So heads up on that. There's Goldman Sachs. It's been basically straight down after a nice move this morning up to 412, 413. We're all the way back to trying to get back to 400 anyways. It started off as Middle East relief, but no longer. If you missed it, more troubling headlines coming out of the Middle East this afternoon. We'll keep an eye on the overall market, but let's get into a little bit of a review of what we were touching on this morning. If you were with us in the pre-market, there was a ton to dissect and understand. One of those was Apple. Reports this morning that they've officially been, it was a research firm, so independent, keep that in mind, came out and said they've officially been passed as the world's #1 smartphone device maker by Samsung and quote-unquote other Android devices. So we're basically at day lows here, just flushed through 173.5, now down 1.8%, guys, for Apple.
Yeah, what a difference half a day makes. Actually, not even half a day, because let's be real. Good news, bad news or not, that report notwithstanding, you gotta remember Apple was the momentum up stock pretty much for the entire morning show. There's no question about it. Like, this name, it dipped back into Friday support. It stair-stepped to the upside. It looked like we could have gone green. As Brendan said, we had this, like, a little disconnect. So you'll see some gaps in some of the charts there.
A little disconnect. That's hilarious.
No, it was, well, you see what I mean. Okay, fine. On the chart, it looks like a small gap, but we had like quote execution went down for like a few minutes, which is an eternity when it's exactly the same moment, obviously, that news came out of the Middle East. So it wasn't the best timing. This lost VWAP, and I was long off VWAP. I was lucky I just gotten out, but I was trying to long off this previous low, and one of these actually did bounce to 174. So out of like the 4 times I've tried it long down here, 1 for 4, but it was trend up, and it just goes to show we're in a market where you can turn on a dime, and absolutely anything can happen. So Apple was looking strong. Now we're down 2%, and all of a sudden, did we just reject the 50 period on Apple and heading right back into support? Like, we were just celebrating last week that you were bouncing off the support level and closing at the 50 period moving average, and you're thinking you're going up again. And what a difference a couple of hours makes here. So I'm probably done trying to long until I see more strength. And there are other names I'd rather short if we do get a push back into the upside than Apple.
Yeah, I really like Apple, and yeah, it's tragic timing. Those of you that are seeing this, so I lost like about half of the next person net for the month. In about 20 minutes, I lost like too much. For me, probably about. Yeah, I can tell you how much. I'm not going to tell you the exact numbers because then you'll know about everybody else. Yeah, I lost about 20% of my whole month here just on the system going down. And that's the problem, like we said, when you're going to trade bigger shares. But that's part of it. I'm not even worried about it. It's just that's what happens. We get that order, that news coming out right here. My stop is Apple 175. I can't even execute it until we're down to 174. So, that's the problem sometimes when you have these kind of stops. This is not anything other than execution on the system, but that's what happens. But there we go. Apple all the way to the downside. We've punched out. I'm holding a small piece just to see if something does happen. But yeah, pretty tragic for me there. But it's okay. We'll battle back. We're definitely not up on the day, as you guys can hear. But we've had a really good month and everything will be all right. So we're going to just hold out hope that this market will bounce from this point, and I'm just going to regroup. Potentially, I know I'm on Google here, but this was Apple. Obviously, we just talked about it. I mean, at this point, honestly, like I just got to get out of these positions and then settle everything down. But yeah, like we had Google, we had Apple, both of these stocks completely cracked in. And unfortunately, when we lost, I mean, you could see when we lost it. Like, we lost execution here at 18,000 break. Like, I mean, come back 80 handles after that. Tough to swallow over here. But, yeah, we'll be fine. Mood will be different.
I'm just reading a few things on X here regarding X. So Elon is going to go ahead with this quote-unquote small fee for free users to get rid of spam, apparently, for X that we can't trade anymore, obviously. Here's Tesla, meanwhile, trying to get back to day lows right now. What a flush it's been. If you missed it, during lunchtime, reports came out suggesting that these job cuts are going to be closer to 20%, not necessarily 10%.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I saw him coming out midday there on X, surprisingly enough, and saying, it's the worst thing he has to do. It's not what he wants. Obviously trying to save face. Look, they employ about 140,000 people, so you can do the math there, 20% of that. Sadly, it comes as interest rates continue to remain high and EV sales continue to remain weak. You see the big automakers kind of taking their foot off the shift there, Brendo, into going to full EVs because the demand just isn't there.
Yeah, back to hybrids. Just reading a note here, Apple reportedly sold 50.1 million iPhones in Q1, down 9.6%. That was the story we had this morning. Bloomberg just reiterating that. So just saw Apple here, day lows, now 2%.
Before we get to Tesla, I did just get a fill for a new position, so I'm going to go there first. We didn't really talk about chips this morning, but bottom consolidation here on Intel, which is still up 1%, believe it or not. Bottom consolidation here at 36.20 into 36 even. So I'm going to short into 36.20 and take some out in front of 36 even. If it breaks 36 even, then probably going to hold it till the pre-market lows. But Tesla came in today with 68 as the level. And you know what? It was probably the right level. That's the thing. Like sometimes you have the right level, the wrong idea at that level. You held on Thursday. It held on Monday, and it did not hold today. So I was long in front, took one shot, one loss, and probably everything is always going to be hindsight. It's easy to say when it breaks down, you should jump into the short. I jumped over to Rivian, which if there's a bottom in Rivian, Randy. Oh, Randy, because every time Randy comes out here, he keeps talking about some positive things that Rivian has going for it, and then we look at the chart, and Rivian just gets nastier and nastier. I got out of the Rivian short, the 875 at 850. It tagged 832. So I don't know where the bottom is going to be for some of these EV names, but Tesla does cost cutting and gets beaten down when usually that's seen as a good thing. I mean, demand goes down, and you cut costs to become more lean. That's what you're supposed to do. And it got beat up anyways. I just feel like, we say this a lot, These daily charts on all of these EV names are shorts, and when you see this, just look short first when a stock is only going down. Speaking of which, only because I shall Rivian in like 4 days in a row, Boeing, by the way, this is not related, but Boeing has yet to put up a green candle since the beginning of this month. Every single day this month, and starting on April 1st, so it's been a bit of a joke to stock. It's been red every single day. The next one is going to be the first green day for Boeing in the month of April.
Ay, ay, ay.
That's, I can't even believe that, how bad that is right now.
Well, it's not, yeah, it's only been 10 days, but yeah, I mean, wow, Boeing, nasty. That's nasty stock. This market, we've been talking about how nasty this market's going to get for a while, and today it's happening. So, I mean, down we go. We were able to get in and out. Now Tesla looks like a genius stock. We were able to get out of that long and flip it over to the short. Then it kept, I mean, now we're actually at 162. This is actually a level for Tesla that I don't mind buying, to be honest with you, but someone in the chat was just like, why am I still long? I'm not actually, most of my positions got covered when I came back, like I punched them out. And as you guys were noting there, I had mentioned already that, yeah, we had lost just the platform had lost connectivity there for about 10 minutes or a little bit more than that.
A little longer than that.
A little longer than that when the market started to crank lower. So I was just like, I just took a fill now on Google thinking about 155, but honestly, these are not like a lot of shares. We got out of Apple. Like look, the system came back and we got out. We tried to buy some more dips, but we are, continuously going lower here right now as the market goes. So I like Tesla. I thought it was decent news about the layoffs, but honestly, we still are going lower, lower, lower here. So not great, but yeah. These are the only positions I have. I would be thinking of buying Tesla here. It's just, I don't know, man. Like if this level was here, like if we opened around here and had a chance to bump off of it or something, but we already talked about the NASDAQ. The S&P's had a minute since it's been down 2%. If Israel is going to be planning some counterattacks here or whatever that news was, then yeah, the market's not going to like that. The market doesn't like uncertainties, and that's what that creates. So yeah, it's not going to be good here for Tesla. It's not going to be good for anybody for a minute. But the market's going to bounce back huge. It's just we're going to have to wait for it.
These charts look very similar. I just pulled up Meta here. We started off really nicely this morning, but it's been straight southbound ever since. Yeah, there was that Citigroup note this morning, pretty positive, reiterating a buy. Was it 590 on the price target for Meta? Just failed again at 500 here.
Yeah, they're talking about the monetization of Reels, and if you use Instagram, they're still not monetizing the Reels on that platform. They are, however, monetizing it on Facebook, and as Adira and I were talking about how to trade, it wasn't my most favorite method of monetization. But another headline here, looks like as if Meta will shut down Threads in Turkey for a period of days to comply with the Turkish Competition Authority. Not like it's going to have much of an effect here, though, Brenda.
Hey, don't hear much about Threads.
Neither do I.
Anymore. Yeah, odd. Trying to bounce, guys, for Meta. Anything today for a trade?
This is more the Threads thing, but if nobody uses it here, then what difference does it make whether they shut it down in Turkey? That can't even be a big deal. So I tried Meta, and the good news is I waited for the price that I wanted. It just didn't give me the bounce that I would have liked. So I waited for Meta to get down into that 500 bounce. This is back on the 2nd, I think, the beginning of the month. It bounced off like 502 change. So in that free fall-ish, this was the first green candle, so I went long in here, gave it to the higher low. It ended up being a better bounce the second time through, so if I had gone back into this trade, it probably would have been good. That said, the moment that everything turned around and we lost execution, well, to be honest with you, even if I had gotten back into that trade, I'd have been holding half of it when the system went down. So in reality, I would have lost anyways. And Meta down 2.5%. This is just a simple case of the market's in a bit of a pullback and we're getting negative news, and a stock that was strong is going to give back. The 50-period moving average has been a good spot for Meta, but it actually hasn't tagged that. These are just like wicks in here. It hasn't really sat at the 50-period since December of last year. So it's been a hot minute, and we are, I'd say, one more red day away from testing that 50-period moving average. We were just talking about how some of these stocks haven't even given you small dip buys. Well, Meta's about to get to 50-period for the first time in a while, and I think we could see that this week. It'll be interesting to see if it can hold on to that 490 when really the support's been down at about $480 for Meta.
Fisker's up 100% today. So shout out to everybody in the pink sheets here. Up now to 5 cents. We're getting closer, guys. We're getting closer. Nice move up there for Fisker. We were just talking about Tesla, and people in the chat are like, what about Fisker? So we can't. I would love to trade this, but we can't. Here at Real Trading, we're unable to trade stocks on the OTC markets underneath $1. So that's going to be a nothing on that one. Meta. Okay, so I mean, I'm just going to go over to Google. Google was great. You know, I don't know what else to say. We were up a lot. We were up really good on Google. I mean, look at this. We just bought it. I mean, we were celebrating this on the show. I mean, sure, it did fall down and we got out. All of our stops were hitting until they weren't, you know, and then 157, our stop didn't fill. And the next thing you know, I'm having to deal with, you know, X amount of shares all the way up here. So that kind of sucked. But either way, man, Google making moves down. We're going to watch out for 155 right now, down 1.5%. Seems like a good dip buy opportunity, but again, this market is probably not going to the upside. We're going to give this one till 155 to see if we can get some room. But yeah, nice downside move here. Just wish we were net short, not net long when all of this went down. So Amazon was a great trade for us today. Again, right here, we were able to go long Amazon. That was a positive one. And then what's going to look crazy that we got out, AMD. All the way up here as well, since we don't have any more chip talk to go. But AMD at 164, I mean, that just touched 159 right now. Wow, that made it all the way back up to our see, like, look, this is the thing. And this is the thing that I actually don't plan for, right? Is like, you don't think about it when you use more shares. This hasn't happened to us in forever. But sometimes, like, that's instantly out $1 if you're playing off a 160. So you just got, I was sitting here too, you just got to sit here and try to cancel your shares or your offers as much as you possibly can in this situation, your bid. All right, here comes Google, starting to make a move back down. So we're going to watch out for 55 break, and then we're going to get out of the way of this one. But Google right now, it looks like we'll take a 60-cent hit on the last couple pieces here as we've tried to buy a 155, but definitely not holding. There it goes. Wow. Almost like, I mean, maybe my earpiece isn't, I'm not hearing anything about anything, just the market continues to flush. So bye-bye Google breaking through 155.
All right, Reddit trying to hold up here as well, but hey, here's another one. What is it, 5% now to the downside after starting the day in positive territory, or the pre-market at least, it was holding on to positive territory. A whole bunch of analyst initiations today on this stock. The majority of which were positive, but when you get this kind of a market move, not much it can do.
Yep. It's a bit of a tough day to have analysts start covering your stock. But JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley chiming in on this, both with a neutral rating and a $47 to $45 price target. Here's what JP Morgan analyst Doug Anmuth said. He said daily active unique users growth has accelerated in recent quarters, and there's a meaningful headroom for growth, but for now, Reddit's base of 73 million users is relatively subscale. So they're looking also for how they monetize AI, but still good. But
yeah, same kind of a move here, anyways, guys. Trying to hold on to $40 still for Reddit.
$40.
Yeah, it ended up being, do I trade Reddit or do I trade DJT? And it probably didn't matter which one you chose. You were going to win if you shorted either one. But Reddit broke right at the open. It broke an all-time low. It's an IPO, so I mean that's not saying a ton, but you guys get it. It broke the all-time low and then immediately just flushed. So consolidation under it for a brief period, and then you get the flush down. It's held $40, so good for that. It's at 40 right now with a 10-cent spread. I just felt, I mean, DJT had the news of offering. They're issuing more shares. I think it was 21 million into a 39 million float. It also broke a fresh low here at like 29.5, then came right back in and retested that, so couldn't break up above 30, and then back under 29, shorted it one time, did not come back into VWAP. I didn't trade it back into VWAP. I should say it did come back into VWAP for the shorts. That should have been a good one there. But like, this is under pressure. I still feel like this is I don't know, probably overvalued fundamentally, and it's just going to head down. I just got out of Intel. That's breaking toward VWAP, so I'm out off that 20 level. And I don't know if I shouldn't be going back to Micron instead. So Intel, 1.4% to the upside. I guess it's bizarro world because Intel is a strong chip name. And I say it all the time, like short the weaker stocks, right? Well, that might just be Micron. Micron broke a major support level. This was the VWAP retrace for me today, was Micron. And if it's going to be a lower high, then I want to play off of last week's bottom, which was 122. If there's another leg down in the market, then this stock losing 122 has room down into 120. It's been a pretty nasty day for the overall market. There's some signs of bottoming patterns, but like if I'm going, like if I want to be long, it's like Apple I feel much better with if I was trying long. I can't bring myself to go long Intel, which that's where your bias can get the worst of you because it is up 1.5% today. Maybe I shouldn't have that read.
Yeah, that's the problem with Intel, I find, is sometimes you get the wrong reads on it, and it's like, okay, it goes up when you don't expect it to and down when you expect it to go up. But okay, that's Intel. We bought some Google back here at the bottom, but I don't know if it's going to be the bottom or not. We did have a big, oh, that's still Apple. Sorry, I was looking at Apple because I agree, man. Apple's been strong. We actually just made a little bit of a 60-cent move back. And we just had a small, I laugh about Apple because I'm not really, I still really think Apple can get back to 174. I just want to wait for this bottom to test it. I'm not going to be buying it up here as we've just retraced back up. If anything, probably a short as we try to figure this out at 173 for Apple. Reddit, there was another name I wanted to talk about, and I can't remember what it was. Let's just quickly look at Palantir here. I actually haven't looked at this yet today. All right, so there's a dip. This would have been, wow, $21. Okay, yeah, I did not notice this at all. $22. But that break into 21.80, okay. Wow. All right, we were right pretty early about Palantir, and then ever since this market took a dip, this took a dump. So right now, Palantir down 3%, not looking very good. I am not going to head over to this one and try to pick a bottom. No way. I like the story with Google. Google's trying to break higher, not with Palantir. Palantir remains a struggle as we are looking to get lower on this name. We've talked about this a couple times on the recap show when we've had guests on and even here. I think 20 is close, man. I mean, you're trying to fill that gap again, which sucks. But that seems like that's what it wants to do here for Palantir. And that gap means we got to get all the way back to like $18, which is the 200 period. There are going to be some good names to buy at 200 period moving averages. Palantir is probably one of those in my opinion, but we're going to have to wait as this market's taking some names today, down another 3% here for PLTR.
Still holding on to some sort of positive territory here for Goldman Sachs today. But as we saw on that board, the S&P board, most of the strength at this point coming from banks. But this is fading fast right now, trying to get back to day lows. It's been basically a flush ever since the open this morning. But nice Q1 report here this morning for GS.
Yeah, the market having a tough time appreciating the 28% jump that they added to their profit, or that 16% jump they added to their revenue, because that's what they did. They beat on the top and bottom line. Fixed income trading up 10%, equities trading up 10%, and the best one of all, investment banking fees up a cool 32%. Brendo, it was a really good report here for them.
Yeah, decent amount of room here to go, guys. Downside if it wants to.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good report, but you know, like all things, this is it's a kind of move that just brought everything down. Like I think even looking at some defensive names that aren't even as strong as you would have expected them to be on a day like today. So, you know, Goldman Sachs, if this had been at $400 at the open, I was saying it would be a dip buy. If you got that little kind of stink bid at 9:30 at this time of the day, given the reversal we've had, I'm really not feeling it. So I'm going to stay away from this one. It's so different. If you get that wick down at 9:30 and then it just bounces off 400 for a scalp trade, as opposed to market trending down. Let's trade this when it's got a spread, and it's clearly trending down with the overall market. So good report. I think they put a little pressure. I mean, a little pressure. They put some pressure on Morgan Stanley to step up when their report comes tomorrow, which is the case every earnings season. They always have to follow Goldman Sachs. And that'll be a little bit tough for them to be able to follow that one up. And then the market reaction to Goldman Sachs here by selling it off with the market probably doesn't bode well for Morgan Stanley either. The good news for Morgan Stanley is it's down so far, right? Like Goldman Sachs had to report as the stock was near the highs. whereas you're going to get Morgan Stanley reporting after they just had the lawsuit and the investigation, and under a lot of pressure here. So the good news for them is they've already sort of pulled back into support before they even have to drop their report.
Yeah, I think instead of, and we talk about this all the time on all the shows, but especially on the recap show where we talk a lot about ETFs. I mean, XLF, instead of worrying about which ones to pick, I mean, I think you can. I mean, it's a stock picker's market right now, especially with some of these moves that we've seen today and with these individual banks. If there's a okay, you know what, guys? Honestly, I have to deal with Google. All right, yeah, what I'm getting at here, we're making some money back right now. I told you that we're going to try to defend that 155. So let's put some money back in our pocket here a little bit with some Google on a nice little blast higher here. Oh, that's still XLF, my bad. Right there for Google as it's trying to get back. I mean, I have a lot of executions down here as we try to get back to the upside. So we did break it. We talked about that. There's the move back up to the upside as we waited for it to try to give us a bottom. Unfortunately, we're missing a huge candle here again, but I can show you on, this is why I went long. It was a very, very big exhaustion candle right here. Okay, hold on a second. It's because it's showing me all the volume from before. Anyways, you can see it's in there. I can't why isn't this cursor's not letting me pull that up? Oh, well, anyways, on the minute chart, you can see right there, that's it right there, a big candle to the upside right there when we broke 155. So me too, like some of us got liquidated there. We didn't have as many shares, thankfully, on that move, but we were able to get some back in. So let's start to take a little bit out here on Google. We'll take some 33s or 34s. There it is, 34s. And now let's see if we can get back up to them. So we're making some money back now, boys and girls, as the market's starting to bounce again. So, all right, I'm going to take another piece out on Apple here. Let's see how high we can fly on some of these markets. I'm hoping a hell of a lot higher than this.
Just real quick here, guys, just noticing Peloton. Peloton at all-time lows right now, $3.25. Apparently they're getting rid of their free membership or free app membership because it, quote unquote, did not lead to paid subscribers. So if you're giving it away for free, why would they pay?
Well, I told you off camera, these things are selling for a huge discount now on Marketplace. I'm seeing $400 or $500 for these bikes.
Crazy.
Tough look there. All right, guys, tomorrow we're going to continue with our small cap trading all week. Tomorrow specifically, though, we'll be talking about an RSI reversal, how to spot momentum shifts. Catch that with Adair and I tomorrow at 11.
I could indicate, I know you're all about that one, Sean. And I think when you're trading those small cap names, like they're moving around so much and they don't always have price history at the prices that they're trading at, sometimes you just need to have an indicator or some indicators out there to use to your advantage. Apple bouncing off 173. Could be wrong. Obviously, I said I should have been long Intel and I went short it, but I just feel better about Apple. I know it's down 2%, but it regained 173. It gets to 173.30, takes them out. I think you want to make sure you're grabbing profit on longs. I think that goes without saying this afternoon. As far as Peloton goes, though, I mean, at $3, like at what point, we keep saying this, but like when is it just so cheap that it's worth it? Now, the downside to that, and I have a segue to this, is, well, when you start talking about things like that, you end up with like Virgin Galactic, which broke $1 today, which was pointed out to me, and then it crossed the alert at the dollar level. I'm just surprised there wasn't more activity when this failed the dollar. So I have it on my radar for a possible like bounce back through, and only because it's the $1 level. But this is, if this doesn't regain $1 today, I'm probably going to be short this tomorrow. I'd say there's like a 90% chance that I'll come in and just, if I can risk like 1 or 2 cents on Virgin Galactic, I want to be short that. But Peloton, I'm not trying to pick a bottom there. If anything, this is just showing you like the start of some acceleration into some fresh lows. I think it's probably due for some kind of a capitulation day, and then it'll hit to the upside after that. Or maybe someone will think that, just the brand in general is worth picking up. But yeah, not a great look for them at all. I did want to get to Microsoft because I feel like this is the one name. We just really didn't talk about Microsoft today. And this is bouncing right at the 50 period on the daily at 415. It's got a nice consolidation off the bottom, down 2%, but I mean, everything is down at this point. The way Apple was able to regain 173, if this could regain 415, Like, you got a lot of room to VWAP here, and it's all because it's also the 50-period moving average. That's a defensible price, but I need to see buyers over that price this afternoon. If that can happen, I'll like Microsoft a little bit better. We whined and complained about not getting the dip buys last week, having to reposition some stink bids in the stocks we wanted to pick up. And if you complain loud enough, Microsoft gets to the 50-period moving average. Meta's getting close to the 50-period moving average. Clearly, we're not going to the 200 here anytime soon, but yeah, those are reasonable pullbacks in a bull market. And really, it feels bad, but you look at the chart, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, I'm going to make a pull. I'm going to pull up my trade ideas and find out when all these companies are reporting. We don't have too many stocks tonight. We're starting to get into the bank season, which we've already talked about here. So more outs here for some of these tech names as we'll wait to see if we can make some money back, which we are doing right now. Intel, okay, so we're just going to regroup. You know, like I said, you know, to each their own. All right, 36.25. You know what? Intel's not exciting enough. I mean, we've done well on Intel, but, you know, we're going to see if we can do something else here. Okay, so AMD. Ooh, AMD's really recovered nicely. Where's NVIDIA? NVIDIA, I almost went long at 575. It's a good thing I didn't, most likely. Yeah, because look at that, 875. Oh, yeah. Look at that, 875 right there. Yeah, wow, that's a good thing that we didn't because, I mean, we would have got triggered out, I guess. We would have definitely taken this out. Oh, wow, that was really close to getting smoked on that too, if you were in that when the system went down. But again, I'm not in that one. But there it is, NVIDIA right now. It's too bad I don't have any data there, but taking this level, this level is going to look key, but it's not. All right, the 50 period, 867. Let me look at AMD again. How much under are we? Okay, so 1.6%. Just looking to see how far away we are from VWAP, 162. Still has a chance to get back up there, 161. I mean, some of these lines will. How long was this actually? This outage that we had was 26 to, oh yikes, 41. So just 15 minutes, not too long. But all right, so it shouldn't affect the lines too much. Obviously, it will. Okay. We're just gonna have to start playing momentum. I mean, that's what we did with Google.
Yeah, like our VWAP lines and your moving averages will be a little bit off, but it's not. It depends on how much the stocks move. Some stocks, it won't be that bad. I mean, other ones that were going absolutely crazy, you have to adjust it a little bit. Someone asked me what the next trade is. I'm looking at Micron short. I mean, the top end of the range here is like 121.70, and it's just starting to break higher. So this is another one that just, it flushed. It didn't move as much while we were down for a few minutes, so I feel as if, I mean, VWAP's so far away, it doesn't matter. I'm just playing it off the retracement level back into 122, which makes it an easier trade in there. There was some small cappers that were going. We already talked about that. It was Cavill, which is actually underneath and looking a little bit weak. There was another one, but I'm going to get back over to Apple's. That's actually starting to go. It was Indo, Tisha Perkins. Indo making a nice move to the upside, but I want 174 on Apple. I'm going to get an order out in front of that. If we get to 174, going to take some out. VWAP is clearly going to be a little bit lower than this line.
Guys, I mean, we're making more just on this play again. This would be like just this one retracement play would be P&L 1. But what are we supposed to do? We're going to be red on Google, unfortunately, but maybe we can get it back. I'm just trying to scalp it out. I'm in make the money back mode, and I just want to thank absolutely everybody for your continued support, because since we've been on the show, we will be red today. But since we've been on the show, if we'd started at 0, we'd be lifting the trophy again. So there it is again. So we've just redone it again. The only thing, I guess, that we worry about is stops not hitting. But there it goes. We'll see what happens now. 155.92. Hopefully we get back up to the upside again there. So we're back. You know, we don't let that stuff. I mean, it shook us up. We talked about it. But what are you going to do? That's part of the business, right? When you're doing that. $85 for Starbucks. Wow. I mean, that could be something. That's a nice move to the downside as well today. Starbucks giving a little bit back right now. Down one. Actually, no, back now up. 0.39. The volume's going to be wrong on all this stuff. I thought Starbucks was lower than this, but I guess it's not. It did have a nice move up to 86 and change earlier on today. So when I saw 85, I thought we were a lot worse than where we were, but we're still not even back to last day. That's a really good long down there at 85, man. I feel like that would be nice as well. The stock that we want to always go long at the bottom is Alibaba. Ooh,
$70.
Hey, yeah, that could be something there at $70 as well. Thank you, Mr. Mendoza and everybody in the chat. Here we go. I'm going to take another piece out on Google. Like I said, we're doing fine. Good move back, man. Obviously, way too many outs, but whatever. It's kind of a little bit of a revenge trade. Took a lot of shares down there making that back. So whatever. I knew I wanted Google long, and I know I wanted Apple long as well. I just missed that one. I wasn't going to let them all completely capitulate to the downside. But Apple, again, the #1 P&L stock and the #1 trade idea on the sticky note today. And we nailed that right off the open. That 174 long again. We did this on Friday. We're doing it again today. That long on Apple there, 174. I mean, that went all the way to 176.50 there. We didn't. Our best out is 175.50 right there. And then we did have some pieces on again, but you know, there's that dump down. The dump heard around the world. I know that sounds so good, eh? But here we go. Here comes Google right now. Nice move to the upside. Let's go, man. Let's spin it because we're here. There it is, a nice little 70-cent win on the back end for Google on a good amount of shares. So really happy with this trade. Able to make back just a little bit of what we lost there, but good trade here for Google buying the dips. I know you got Apple there, so far so good here on some of those reloads, man. We're still here.
It looks like Lockheed Martin got a contract. I'm just hearing that in my ear. That stock has not been as strong as I would have expected, Lockheed. I think it's a disappointment. It was Indo. That's the one, INDO. I know I mentioned that there were a couple of small cappers moving. This breaking out the highs, double top move, just held $6, continuing to run up 32%. This is Amex stock. There you go. So it's like a day two runner. If you go way, way back on the daily chart, as this starts to zoom out, there we go, taking a little bit of time. Thank you, daily chart. You do see $7 was a resistance spot. So it's going to run into some overhead resistance at 7, at least on the chart it will. Doesn't mean it has to flush. But if you look at how strong this has been, like higher lows on the 3-minute in here, I think the next dip, once it gives some kind of a consolidation, could be the previous high, like 630. It makes a lot of sense to me. I think I'd work this one, at least give it a chance on the next dip, giving you a long. Has to pull back at some point. Do not want to be punching any highs. All right, Apple's going, but didn't really get to this 174 again. We're still climbing. I think we should go for higher lows on Apple as well. Like even buying the dips here is going to make some sense there. Lockheed Martin, there was just that new contract that I heard in my ear, but it spiked $5 and was like instantly right back down. I don't know. It might be worth it if it can hold above VWAP, and maybe it'll start to give you some juice. Because really, like with everything that's going on, like why wouldn't the stock be a long in the first place? But it was pretty flat, and actually was going down on most of that news after we got that headline about the Middle East. So if it can hold VWAP, that looks a little bit better here on LMT.
Okay, cool. Danielle Shay will be coming with us at some point near the end of the show, I think, right? 3:45-ish or something. She normally comes 3:30.
I thought it was 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, okay, perfect. She'll be coming out there. Join me with her all the time on the Market Recap Show as we go through. So, all right, 155. I still just have Google on. I mean, I was debating, again, like looking at this market, I wonder if we're going to try to get back to 18,000. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to take some more out of Google here just because, but AMD is getting close to a level that we could potentially short again. So we'll have to wait to see if that does come through here on that 162-ish, maybe for a short if we can get up there. I mean, that's where VWAP is. That's the 50 period. Sorry, the 50 period's down here. That's the 200 period and VWAP. So that could be something into a short. What is NVIDIA doing quickly here? Just, all right, so back up to 875. Again, would rather do that. I'd rather do AMD, Tesla. Yeah, I mean, we've done really well.
Okay, LMT is starting to go again. It held VWAP in there. I got 55.55 because
Tesla was a
why the heck not? I feel sometimes you put orders in at prices like that. It breaks 450, and as I'm like throwing the order, it's like, 55.55, why not? And then it just broke this local high at 456.5. So I'm giving it to underneath VWAP. There's a bit of a spread, so like really, if you have a 55 stop, you're probably losing 70 cents, not 50. But if this gets back into 59, I think that's an out. Because on that news, it immediately spiked up and then came right back in. So I'd like to, if we get it 58, I'd be happy with that on Lockheed Martin. So
thank you.
And again, It's a defense name, but it was not nearly as strong as you might have anticipated. Randy, what the hell's going on with Rivian?
That was going on with the system. What did you do back there? Pull a wire?
Oh, really? Randy's fault? Don't blame him. It's not Randy's fault.
Of course it's not Rain's fault. I just asked him. I don't know. Did he take blame for it? What
That
did,
a new-
what did he do?
I've seen that cup before.
Yes, this is a new cup. Randy must know I'm long.
The green.
Cheers, Randy.
The green. Looking all green. And it has like a cat in the hat, but the green instead of the red look. That
Yeah, I
was
had a
our
red cup.
Friday movie. We watched Cat in the Hat on
Oh,
Friday
yeah,
at
nice.
movie night.
Yeah, that's a good one. See, I had the red cup earlier. And we were right about it, but now we're long.
Now
We're long. Okay, so Apple, we took a piece out there. For a nice trade, at least we got something out there in the 70s or whatever it was. But that was the high. Now you're starting to fall back one more time. I feel like we just want to short the market, so we're getting pretty close to that. We do have MSOS here starting to move around again. We do have some marijuana talk. I don't know what's talk about exactly, but there is some more talk here on marijuana and what's going to be happening today up to point. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen today, but eventually they're going to be voting and figuring out what's going on with that. But here it goes again, marijuana headline. They're going to be scheduling the review of the marijuana or the marijuana, I guess, class. What is it? Right now it's class 3. I don't know, whatever class it is. Trying to figure that out with the DOJ. So right
trying
now,
to bounce.
they'll review it. But there it is. It's a nice move up for MSOS. Try to take out that 9905 top. Probably good news for its friends. So let's check out CGC quickly.
I'm going for ACB.
Not doing anything, and then Tilray as well. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
ACB regained the low of the day. I'm going to quickly show you LMH there as it came back in. We got profit. We took the buck on the first bid and actually got a really good execution on the 455 stop. I'll show you in a second. But if you're holding this double bottom, if this can get back into VWAP and give it into 624, which was that local bottom, I mean, why not? I mean, this is already down 4%. And it's right at that support. It's bouncing off of what has been the support, which is that $6 level. So if you're taking a shot, it would be in front of the 6 on ACB. Last week, it was when it would go up, it was the strongest of the group. That's why I immediately went over to that name. And if it's going to hold the low, great. So Lockheed, go back to the 3-minute. We had it on the way back in. We got some out there, 46.5. And when it cleared the even, it was like 5 cents worth of slippage. So in and out on that news. Lockheed getting a defense contract. So because we were trying to hold the rest of it for a bigger win, it'll be a small win there because we didn't really get it all out when it gave you that dollar move. Fiddleback saying AMC, basically 25 cents. What, the range or the? Oh, you're talking about, since the split, what the actual price is on AMC. I was thinking that AMC made a 25-cent move when you just said that, but you're 100% right. AMC with the split.
Nobody's in Bitcoin here.
You know what? When this goes to $1, that's going to get spicy when it gets to $1. AMC, and it's getting real close. $2.50. No, but just because it's one of those. It's one of those stocks.
Man.
Like when Virgin Galactic, I love when stocks trade around $1, but like Nikola does volume when it gets to $1. Virgin Galactic broke $1 today, and nobody even noticed until I probably said something. When this stock gets to $1, a bunch of people are going to notice and might be interesting to trade again. But it's been a hot minute since it was at this point. So ACB, I just want to see if it can hold on to those quarters. Looking for some, if we're just going to hold this range at the bottom on the futures, I'm holding Apple for more, but I want something which gives me a chance to move. I thought maybe we'd get that Indo, not literally that Indo dip buy, but we're not going to get that Indo, although it's not that bad. It's starting to come back in here to the $6 level. It just has to do the bouncing part next.
Yes, smoking on Endo and sipping on gin and juice. That's what it is. Shout out to Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is coming here this summer, and the wife was asking if we want to get some tickets. So that should be fun.
Who's the tour with?
Yeah, it's probably not just him. Actually, I don't know.
No, because I'm sure.
No, yeah.
They'll be like.
Yeah, there'll be somebody coming through for sure. With Snoop.
Trying to think of some names.
I don't know. I mean, Exhibit. I mean, is there going to be is that guy still alive? Like, I'm just
Exhibit's
about,
alive.
Is he? Okay, good to hear.
I saw. Actually, you know what? The only reason because YouTube suggested some video to me with he was talking about how he got in the club video and the shout out in it.
Oh, okay.
I guess he was on some podcast. I get, for some reason, I get a lot of suggestions for old school hip hop dudes when they're on podcasts. And then anything they say, it's like, I guess
age.
because I watch it,
Yeah.
then they're like, yeah, just keep firing me more. And I hadn't seen Exhibit in a hot minute. But whatever.
Yeah, he could be there. I don't know who's with.
I don't know who else would be, but Snoop was a legend back in the day.
Yeah, he'd be a good one. All right. We keep thinking about Tesla down here at 162 because it seems like it is the bottom, or is it? I mean, at some point we're going to have to make a decision here if we like to go long or short. But I've been getting out of Google and getting out of Apple because I think that we've had a nice little move back. Like, I'm not hearing anything different about, unfortunately, anything different about anything, unsettling in the Middle East and all that kind of stuff. So as we go, we could check out USO. I mean, I think Brennan was talking about this, or Sharif was, or somebody was, that like oil is not really doing much today, basically flat on the day. So you would have thought that this could have been a problem. So it's not, though. Oil, I thought, could have been ripping today. Something like an XLE, I think, was down at one point. So, maybe this oil story isn't, as deadly as we sort of thought here on the pullback to the upside. Maybe a lot of this is priced in, and we've talked about that. Possibly the market getting a lot of this priced in. Like when we came in this morning and the market was up a couple percentage points and we didn't really hear anything from Iran or Israel or anything like that, it was a little puzzling because we left everybody on Friday and I was net short heading into the weekend and thinking like, okay, maybe we would have this kind of a move, only to see the NASDAQ go down 350 points. So right now that's 18,350. Well, there's 18,000. And now we get lower than that, 17,860. So that's 500 NASDAQ points today gone. I don't know what the Dow is down or up right now, but the diamonds probably also getting hit to the downside. We look at diamonds, here they are. We always look at NASDAQ because most of the stocks that I'll be trading are the NASDAQ, but the diamond's actually holding out okay, only down 0.62. These are the Dow 30. So we talked about this on the podcast, buying the NASDAQ or buying the Dow 30. And when I was talking about diversification, this is why. NASDAQ getting crushed today and, 100 points difference between the two. So if you had sort of switched over, like you can predict the future, this would have been a little bit of a better play there. But look at the diamonds, man, with Intel, with United Health, with Boeing, with Apple, Microsoft, like all these big names in the Dow, and many of them, retracing lower. So that's why I was like, okay, if you want to grab some value, maybe the diamonds in the DIA or the Dow 30, which is what this is, continues to make lower lows, I guess, on the day here. We're looking to break through 377. I don't trade this as a tool to trade, but just interesting to look at as we talk about some different categories of asset classes there. And I think the diamonds would be a good diversification.
Like I buy the market like once a month.
Yeah.
And it used to be the SPY.
Yeah.
But last year I switched from the SPY to the Qs because
that's smart. Yeah.
I mean, that was really good for last year, but
yeah, that worked out.
This year it'll probably not work out. But you pick one. But I don't wonder if you're like and I've never even thought too much about this. But if you did that whole, I'm going to dollar cost average into one of the ETFs, it's like, oh, well, for these months, while this is happening, I do it in the diamonds.
Yeah.
And in these months, like last year would have been a great time to do it in the Qs. And maybe it makes sense to do it but then you're trying to pick too much.
Yeah, you're not timing anything. Really.
Yeah, like you could be trying to buy dips in the diamonds now instead of the Qs. But I just find like you get too complicated. So like I always try to make sure it's like a core amount of the personal account goes into the market. And then when I'm messing around with other stuff like Rivian, then it's not as bad because you have your buy and hold and for like the bigger core positions. So when Rivian is a dumpster fire, it's not the end of the world. It is a dumpster fire, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you mean, or what exactly?
Did I say if?
Yeah. No, you said when, but I was like, currently a dumpster
Oh, I mean, it's
fire?
like yeah, like there's no question the Rivian's a dumpster
Smartest
fire.
guy in the room was Brendan. He was in there, he was out of there. It's like, God damn.
Well, see, my problem was when I first bought the shares, I'm like, I'm buying here and I'm not buying anymore, and I'm willing to, the amount I put in, I'm willing for it to go to zero. And I think when you do that, oftentimes, it's like if you do it with a penny stock, it's easier to do with a penny stock because like there won't be so obvious places where you should be getting out of this, and you're going to be able to re-enter at a better price. Like when this flat bottom broke 15, it's like you just get out. And if you really like it, you're probably, when it does a move like that, you're probably going to be able to get back in. I'm talking about Rivian here. But when you take a shot in a penny stock, and it's, like let's just say when Virgin Galactic gets to 25 to 50 cents in a couple of months, and I want to go to space one day, and maybe I think it's a good value down there. It's so much easier to buy a 25-cent stock and be like, it's going to zero, or it's going past $1 again. I think when you
Is that
do
what
it,
happens if you're a shareholder? You get like a free ticket to go to space?
can you imagine if they ever did that?
I would just buy one share.
Oh man, what they should do, and I'm talking to you, Virgin Galactic, is you should do some kind of a lottery for your shareholders to reward a certain shareholder, and then I'll start buying. No, just kidding, because you probably have to buy so many to like have extra spots in the lottery. But I would absolutely love to go up into space. I just don't want to have to own the stock to do it. Still not back above $1. Is what it is. The ISS movie, if you haven't seen it on Amazon, is actually not that bad.
Yeah. What movie?
ISS.
Oh, ISS. No, we were talking about that Fallout. I don't know. That was.
Yo.
Yeah, you were saying you liked that too.
Yo.
So hopefully that's good. I don't know anything about the game, but that's.
Well, I don't play the game. I know the game. I've seen videos of gameplay of the game, so I'm kind of pretty decently aware of the game. And a former trader here was obsessed with it, actually.
Oh, okay.
Wix.
Oh,
and
was he?
yeah, and he was a huge fan of it. But it's a pretty good show. I feel like Amazon, they have some good stuff out there. But I want to watch the one you were saying on the pod, is The Gentleman.
The Gentleman. We've done that. That's a good
Yo.
one. It's a lot of fun, that one.
Guy Ritchie, gangster films,
I love Guy
go.
Ritchie. There's no doubt about that.
All day, every day. I want one of these chip names to get to VWAP for short. AMD's the closest.
I'm literally looking at AMD right now.
Like, I wanted Micron on a pop. This is what happens. When the market is weak and you want to short the pops, you don't get what you want. I mean, that should kind of go without saying, but
There
it's
should be like
frustrating.
a song like that.
There is
Like they should make it like something like you can't always get what you want, something like that.
But if you try sometimes.
They should. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, see, we could be lyricists.
Isn't that how it, no, but isn't that a song?
Yeah,
always
that's the
get-
whole.
Rodera's singing the song. But if you try sometimes.
Yeah, it's a song. Okay, all right, let's keep going here. Google, NVIDIA. Anything else you guys want to look at? All right, let's look at Amazon. We did have Amazon written down as a level there for us. We can look at some oil names maybe as this market just continues to go lower, breaking right now the low of the day. This is probably time. Should we just put on the TQs or something like that and just go short and forget about it? Because right now the market is just continuing to go. Like, why are we even messing around with anything at this point? That's the 50-period moving average. We could have, again, it sucks. It's kind of like when you're trading without, like, I'm looking at this level being like, oh, maybe that should have been a level there, but that's not a gap fill or anything like that. But we are going lower right now. I mean, we could trade off the 50-period. We did have a nice break there of the 50-period. If you're looking at something more long-term, today we did this in the morning, and we said, like, if you break 18.2, I said, look out for 18.130 or whatever this was right there. But that didn't even, and I guess that's when we lost. There it goes, man, just like straight fire to the downside. I don't even know what else to say. This market is continuously going lower right now, and it doesn't look like it wants to stop. So we're gonna have to get into some kind of a short. We just have play money on Apple, but I might as well just get the heck out of this, as Apple's come right back into the 50-period as well.
Well, this isn't
I mean, we
everything.
already took it out. I don't
Isn't
know.
everything moved down? I got it at Lockheed at 455. It went down to 453. Like, that's a defense name.
Everything.
That's a defense name that can't catch a bid today. And they got a $17 billion contract that was just announced, and it's still lower than when the news came out. So it just goes to show you there isn't much of a bid on these. And when that happens, oftentimes you look at, like Indo's not really holding that 6 level the way I'd like to see. So even a small cap name like INDO here, like I wanted to see it try to show some kind of strength around 6. Not at all. Like, it's getting heavy. Maybe you got to wait for VWAP on this. That's a disappointment here. Like, I'd love to look at a small capper that's running and see if you can't find something going well. This would have been the one, but like everything else, it seems to be falling. Cavill, GCGC. Cavill was already weak and under VWAP last I had checked. That's CAVL. Not Henry Cavill, KAVL. It's not really, the name of the company is not. What is it? It's Kval. Kval, I think, is how it's pronounced. But it's trying to get back above VWAP. That could be something. But then I'm just reminded it probably is above VWAP because this chart is missing some data. Yeah, if it can break it, if it's holding 7 right now, that doesn't look too bad. I just felt like Indo was going to be the better one here. It's going to be AMD or Micron. Micron's trying to bounce off the low, so I'm going to short the next available pop. I'm going to cancel these orders in here at 125.70 and 125.60. And if the next pop gets us halfway, look for a curl in here. But that's stair step to the downside. It is what it is. Like this is one of those things where this market just does not seem to have much of a bid in it. And when that's the case, you should be shorting pops. Let's find something weak and short the pop.
I keep getting indicated that, hey, wait a second, why didn't my trade ideas layout load there?
Don't you want it to load?
No, it should have loaded. Okay, I got to find it. No, I was going to try to call something up, and I went to my trade ideas. It's not there. No, I keep getting Intel at VWAP, but it's not really. Just kind of barcoding right now, so we're going to stay away from that one. Was there any other markets headed for zero? Yeah, maybe. Going 75% cash, you're too late, I think. All right, I'm waiting for Rebel Moon. Me too. I don't know.
No, that
okay.
you probably wouldn't
Yeah,
like that
that's
movie.
a good call on that one.
I didn't like
I was looking for. Oh no, I was looking to see if there's any other names that people might potentially want us to look at there in the chat. Shout out to Ramin here.
GLD.
She's just told us that this is the tour there here. So Warren G.
Yo.
And DJ Quick, that guy's still alive? But anyways, as we go, there it is, man. He's bringing Cali to Canada. Well, you don't have to worry about that. Just bring nothing here and just go to the local store and buy it.
DJ Quick.
But there it is right there. So shout out to 7-Eleven and everybody who sells weed around here, apparently. Okay, here we go. No, they don't sell that 7-Eleven, Ramin? Okay.
Yet.
Yeah. They tried. 7-Eleven tried to get that liquor license. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah. No, it's
for a minute there. I think they do have them actually in Ontario. Okay, so right here.
Well, isn't that what Ford was trying
Yeah,
to do?
you still have to buy liquor in. Look at DXYZ. I've already said that's a scam. Let me see DXYZ.
Why? Is it down? How much is it down?
I have no idea. I have no idea. What
On a
this
daily today, you expect that to be down a bunch, I think.
is. It New York?
Yeah.
NY. 37. I have no idea what it was.
What? That's up a bunch then.
It was down lower than that or before?
What?
Okay, up. Is that right? 30%?
No, that can't be right. No, that's not up 30% today.
No, our numbers might all be messed up.
No, why would that stock be? Yeah, it is up that much
Is
today.
it? Well, how is that possible?
Why would that-
because it closed at. It closed at 28.
Because it got destroyed on Friday.
Oh, well, yeah, from 122 down to 40. I was calling this stock a scam or something like that on the way up because I just didn't understand it. I don't actually know if it's a scam or not. I just think that there's going to be, someone's going to look underneath the cover here and it's not going to have what they claim to have is what I think. But nice move up to 122. Nice move back down to $30. I mean, if you want this name, go at it,
Can you
man.
imagine
this is
if
your
they
chance.
didn't? Well, imagine if they
I don't trust it.
If they don't actually have 1/3 of the holdings in SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, at that point, I should be able to sue them. But
that'd
you want to
be hilarious,
But
yeah.
then, I think it was 50% of what they held. I knew, like it was 50%. When I looked at it, 50% of the companies that were in the holding company were ones that I was pretty well aware of, and the big one, SpaceX, and then they had like 9% in cash. So it would seem like it's not that bad, but then the problem is the value. It came at like $9 and then went to like a bajillion.
Right.
Like I would have wanted it at $9 because I'll take I'll take a shot because it kind of like double bottom down there. So I don't mind that, and it makes a fresh low just get out. But I just shorted the pop in Micron. We'll see how that one goes. Shorted the pop in Micron. 121.40 is the local high. I just got it at 28. I think in a couple of minutes we're gonna have Danielle Shay coming through. Be a good time. Definitely a good time because I know, Microsoft she loves Microsoft and bounced off that 50-period moving average. Riri Jordan not disrespecting DJ Quick. He's a legend. Who disrespected DJ Quick? Did we disrespect
No, I just said he was
DJ?
still alive. I just haven't heard anything from him. I
haven't
have
heard
DJ Quick songs on my
Yeah,
phone.
same here. I haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah.
I genuinely had no idea what he's up to.
I think it's pretty sick that those guys. I think it's great that they're touring again. I mean, get that money for sure. Trying to.
Old heads have discretionary income and want that nostalgia. That's just the reality. Free money.
Yeah, I mean, they need that money too, right? I mean, honestly. I mean, some of these guys, Warren G. Come on, that guy needs some money for sure. Okay, right here. Here we go. Google. He's
in them streets, Sean. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, I just feel like a lot of those guys probably. I don't know. The money's not the same so much more now than it was back when those guys were doing it. So they might as well get as much as they possibly can. Okay, so here we go one more time here. So we're just very sneakily taking some trades. Like, as I don't know if you guys didn't see this, but down into 155. Like, are you kidding me? Then it just ripped back up. We got 30s there. Like, you're not even going to think that even really happened, but it did. So, I mean, go check your charts, honestly. I was just lucky. It came into 155. I was sitting there. So we did take that long and then got it back up. So we're making some money back here a little bit. Thinking about taking some Apple down here. I think we will. Although the market is now starting to, I thought maybe there was a chance that we could have broke back in and around that 17.9 there, but no, it looks like we still want to go lower on that one. So we should draw over a larger NASDAQ time frame here just to see, because we're getting a lot of pain area here maybe. Let's go to a 90-minute and just see how this settles down. All right, so wow, okay, so we are right now like, you know, up here, I would have said, okay, maybe this is where we bounce. So yeah, 17,850, we've come into a spot that goes all the way back to March 5th on the NASDAQ. So we're pulling back now real good. And then tomorrow's level, 17.4 to look at. That's another 400 points back. So if we lose another 1.5%, that would be maybe an area where, I don't know when to get concerned, but that would be one of those areas. So we'll see if we can hold out for that. But right now the NASDAQ is starting to pull back quite nicely into some low levels here. Sure, you can bring Danielle on whenever you are ready. I'm pretty adverse to talking with Danielle. Hey, Miss Shay.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
You know, we're doing pretty good. I mean, this market continues to fall down here. I know you and I have talked last week, and I even asked you about the put-call ratio because we were a little nervous about this. Anything that you saw today that maybe could have got us out of going long?
Well, there's a couple different things. I'll bring over my market internals grid. This is definitely the grid that I use on days like today, because what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the buying and the selling pressure. And I think that this is probably the most important thing to look at. I mean, this is just the NYSE ticks. It's basically just measuring, how much buying versus how much selling. And whenever you gap up at the market open and you have like a plus 900 ticks, that's an extremely high tick rating. And generally that means you're going to fall from there. So we saw that buying pressure kind of roll over and continue to roll. But I think today what is the most important is that we've seen the ticks down below the zero line the majority of the day. And not only have they been hitting the negative 600, but they've been hitting the negative 1,000. When you're getting negative 1,000 tick readings, that is some serious selling.
Yeah, we're a little nervous here. I mean, I didn't like the fact that we broke below 18,000 there on the NASDAQ either. And then now, a leader in the market, Google's pretty much pulling back now, down 1.5% and looking to maybe even go lower right now. So yeah, those are a couple little things there. Maybe I'll get an opportunity, Danielle, to finally buy some deer. Oh, it's still at 400. Oh man, I was hoping that this would come back into your 350 level. I've missed that a couple times, Danielle. But this week we have big earnings. Are you looking for any specific names? I know we've talked about Netflix a lot. I believe that's on Thursday as I try to find that information.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the two that are the most important are going to be Netflix and Taiwan Semi. And here's the thing is that I'll tell you that looking at the Netflix chart, I think it looks great. You can see that we've had two recent breakaway gaps, which is typically a pretty bullish pattern. I mean, they've been doing well recently. Right now, yes, they're pulling back, but they're just pulling back to the 50 simple. So I think this one still has a shot of going higher, but here's the thing is I'll tell you that Netflix can have some major surprises. And I mean, we've seen what Netflix can do. And so we've seen, 29% gap lower in Netflix. It has been a while, but while I am bullish, if I'm wrong, I'll tell you that a Netflix implosion would really cause a lot of destruction in the NASDAQ for next week.
Yeah, let's try to
That's
stay
a bit
away
of a
from
concern.
some destruction over here. I just went long Apple off 173 here, Danielle. So let's see if it can get going back upside. But
I wanted to.
Danielle, what's up with you?
Look, Danielle, this is a name I don't know if I've heard you talk about TSM before. But when you talk about the chip names, like it's unavoidable, right? Like they're making all of the chips. So from a fundamental standpoint, it looks pretty good. But when I pulled this one up on a weekly, it's like how, on a weekly chart, this just did one heck of a reversal on a wick through 150 at a triple top on the weekly. And when I look at that, like that is a pretty bearish looking setup, but they're not a ridiculous valuation. You just talked about what it would mean for the NASDAQ if Netflix were to miss. Like what happens here if we start off earnings season with TSM doing a bit of a reversal? And is it something that you're paying attention to?
Oh, definitely. Taiwan Semi is the other name that's absolutely critical this week. Earlier, well, not earlier this year, but last year, you can see that it was consolidating for a while and it wasn't really doing much of anything because people were saying, oh, is China going to invade Taiwan and this and that. And then finally, we saw that weekly momentum break out. And so if you look at Taiwan Semi, I mean, recently it's been doing really well until it started pulling back, right? And you have, again, the same pattern where you have two big breakaway gaps in a row. So, I am a shareholder. I'm holding the stock. I think it can trade up to 160. I really like the current pattern and I think it can continue going higher. But again, just like Netflix, if they happen to have a miss for some reason, or if they lower their guidance, I mean, the rest of the semiconductors are going to fall hard.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. It's like the canary in the coal mine type of name out there. And so I always say you have to be careful what you wish for. Last week, I was complaining on our show about the lack of dip buys in some of the Mag 7 names. It's like, oh, well, Google gave us a 200-period moving average. That was nice, and then it got back up to the highs, and I was complaining about Microsoft and Amazon maybe not pulling back. Softy's one that you like, and I know they don't report for a hot minute, but it just pulled back into the 50-period moving average, which has been an endangered species for this stock. It's like it sees it and it runs away from it. It's like the pokeroo. You never get a chance to have a look. Well, we're looking at it now. What are your thoughts on, maybe not Microsoft specifically, but things like Microsoft, Amazon that have not really been doing big pullbacks like Apple has, like Tesla has? Google even had one, even though it got back up to the highs. Like, what's your approach here? Because I know we love these stocks, but should we be much more patient than we have in the past looking to buy dips?
So, I mean, here's the thing with the Magnificent Seven. I mean, you've had the winners and the losers, right? So like Tesla and Apple, I'm still short those names. I'm glad it's working out better today than it was working last week. But when you look at Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, these are the ones that, you just got to continue buying the dip. I will tell you that today it is looking a little bit suspect for Microsoft because we are starting to break through that 50 simple. I don't like seeing 50 simple breaks on the daily chart. It's just such a critical zone of support. And I mean, it's got to hold up above that zone, which is going to be around 415. And right now, it's at 414.19. So I love Microsoft. I'm always buying the name, but I have to tell you guys, I do not like the break of the 50 simple on the daily chart in the NASDAQ. And we're also seeing some weekly sell signals too. If you look at the 50 simple break in the NASDAQ futures, the last time we had that break was all the way back in here in August. And when that break occurred, we had 3 months pretty much of downside, in the NASDAQ. So with the price action today, it's pretty nasty. So I do normally buy the dips in the Mag 7, but I'm going to hold off for right now because of this major break in the NASDAQ.
We've had hey Danielle, we've had a big move in some of the banks. Hey, what's going on? JP Morgan. You and I talked about this on Friday. It's slipped up a little bit here. So you come over to my chart. We've had a big push back in just now. Morgan Stanley on deck. Goldman saving the day a little bit here. But, I mean, this name's pretty red today, but actually much better than the market. Maybe we'll find some strength coming through at some point in the banks. I mean, I was talking a little bit about XLF. That's under. I just heard you mention the 50 simple. That's under on my chart anyways right here on XLF and maybe looking lower. The KRE. I mean, some of these regional banks and the big one, the XLF, they're all really starting to get near some pressure points. I mean, look at the KRE. That's at the 200 now and looking to get lower as well. So any thoughts on what we've seen so far from some of these banks?
So, the banks can be really positive if they report well and they continue to push tech stocks higher going into their own earnings reports, or they can be a bad omen. And in this quarter, it is a bad omen. When you have JP Morgan, like arguably the strongest bank, coming out and saying, hey, you know what, this inflationary environment, high rate environment is impacting our bottom line, that just leads you to believe, what other companies are going to say the same thing. And so when you look at a chart of XLF and you see that XLF is now broken below the 50 simple, and if you look at a weekly chart, this is a pretty nasty weekly sell signal. You have a break below the low of the high bar. You have just a major reversal, break below the 8 EMA. For me, this is a pretty bad sign, especially because JP Morgan is typically pretty strong as it relates to earnings, but you have a big sell signal off of that $200 price point.
That's why I want to mention to you, because you and I talk about trying to buy some of the best of breed and whatnot. You want to look at one more name for me? What about Shopify? So we're getting some people in the chat here. Yeah, sure, I'll call it up a little bit here. Shopify coming through. I don't know. I don't even have my trade ideas up, so I have to find out when they're reporting. But for right now, Shopify not looking the greatest. I mean, we're looking to break even lower right now. Once this loads up here, I have my e-signal charts up here, but we are sitting right now on a level that I've generally recommended buying in and around $68 with the 200 period moving average right there right now. So again, some of these stocks have really slipped up. I mean, even to look at Shopify, like this is a daily chart. We were just here, April the 4th. This was an $80 stock. Now you're down to 70, so 10% in just a week and a bit. How does Shopify look? I mean, I think if we lose that, yikes, maybe down to 60.
So I'll tell you that anytime a company has a big gap lower the previous quarter, that's just a huge red flag for me. And so looking at my earnings grid here, you can see that last quarter Shopify gapped down 12.7%. So that's not looking too good. And then you also have a break below the 50 simple, and you've been unable to recover that 50 simple as well. So I can see trying to buy it off of the 200 simple, but if it failed, this thing is going to careen lower. So for me personally, I would rather stick with the bearish side on this name, just because, when you're coming up on an earnings report, investors get nervous. They say, oh man, it gapped down 12% last quarter and it's continued falling the entire quarter. What if it does it again? And they start bailing before the earnings report. So that fear can cause continued downside pressure going into the earnings report.
Yeah, good look there. May the 9th, Danielle, that comes through. So
I actually want to thank you for something here, Danielle.
Yeah, let's go.
Because a lot of times, obviously you've been a great friend of the show, but a lot of times when you ask a question and it's obvious what someone wants to hear, and you don't just tell people what they want to hear. You give the goods, right? Like, no, I'm being dead honest about that, because clearly, I'm being honest. I'm looking for some reasons why Microsoft will look good at that 50. And I know we look at the Shopify. Like when Sean mentioned that, I was literally doing this, which basically means like eat. Let's get more.
Right.
For those of you who don't understand, it's like a football thing. But like you mentioned, hey, it looks relatively bearish to you, might be at a good moving average, but you're not seeing it that way. And I think that's what we're all about here. It's about getting real perspectives and not just sort of a bunch of talking heads saying exactly what everybody wants to hear. I appreciate that. I would have liked that you'd said something positive about Shopify, because my first thought there was, there's something we could dip by. But some earnings this week, obviously you're going to get some bigger ones going out into the future. Is there anything else this week that you're keyed in on that maybe we haven't touched on? And we touched on TSM, we touched on Netflix, the Magnificent Seven, but is there something else on your radar? Do you ever look at defense names? Like, just give us another name to look at, or a couple of names to look at.
Yeah, I'm happy to look at the defense names, but I'll tell you, I think the two that are probably setting up the best right now are going to be Tesla and Apple. And I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but last week they were rallying and they rallied right up into resistance. And at this point, now that they're down and they're breaking, first of all, I told you guys on Thursday I was short and I was getting a little bit reamed on them. It wasn't working out very well for me. But at this point, the setup is coming through. And what's great about these is that You see with Tesla, it's just right at the lows on the year. Anytime you're coming up to a low on the year and you're down, 5%, people might say, like, how can there be more downside? Well, there can be more downside when that low breaks and the thing drops another, 10%. So I think that Tesla is really close to rolling over here. I think, Tesla could break down into 150. And then the same thing with Apple. These are companies that they haven't really been doing very well the last couple quarters with earnings. And yes, Apple did rally strong last week, but you can see the way that Apple rallied, and it rallied directly into the 50 simple and it failed. So with that one, I was a little bit early to it, but I think adding to it here and trading it back down to the low on the year and then potentially another lower break, I think that these two are great spots to focus right now.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Danielle Shay. I mean, it has been a very, very busy week. And are you joining us on Thursday or no? Are you with me on the market?
Yes, I will be with you on Thursday.
Great. Well, let's review some of these ideas. We'll talk about those on Thursday. We're going to have Netflix. We're going to have TSM and all of those. So, again, thank you, Danielle, for sort of bringing us back to reality with some of these comments for sure. So, thank you, Miss Danielle Shay.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you. And that's what it's all about. That Tesla is, I just wanted to hit the key because we have something for that when it makes a fresh low and breaks it. That would be a flat bottom break.
Yes.
That's what Tesla is at 160. I'll tell you this much. There's at least, I don't know who will actually be during the day, but I would say, I know for sure half a dozen people that will have a 160 break stop order to go short on Tesla on this trading floor. It's that kind of a trade when you get a triple bottom on the daily.
Oh, God.
I think it just sort of stands out. Maybe whether we get there. I don't know. It's worth 162 today. That could literally be tomorrow morning. We could be talking about that trade. It could be, who knows? I actually really do think it could be tomorrow morning, but probably this week. Micron did come in there. We got that 121. 30-ish area. I got 28s into the 40 level. Got some out in front of 21 even. Now it's holding underneath 121. I'm just thinking we get to 120 if the market can continue to fall to the downside. Apple, I did reload, and we'll see if that's going to be a good idea. There we go. Reloaded off the 173. Quickly got some out at the quarter, and I feel like it's about to break underneath even, and I don't think we'll be reloading another time, given this one just under 95. The longs in the market today, it's like you take a short and it kind of like instantly goes in the money, and I think that sometimes that's like a lesson. Like when you go into a resistance level, it tags it and then reverses pretty clean. When you go into a support level, you get like one green candle and then you're retesting the low. So, I said I wasn't reloading Apple another time. It was just, it seems like a week ago when Apple was trend up this morning. And now we're headed to the downside. So we'll hold on to the Micron short. Couldn't find myself into AMD because it just didn't give me anything. I wanted VWAP on AMD, and I feel like sometimes you're just not going to get it. There wasn't a very clean entry into AMD, I didn't think. And VWAP doesn't really matter. It's going to be a little bit skewed. But just couldn't go quite far enough to get a short in that particular name.
Yeah, even AMD maybe a 160 break. We are approaching that right now. I was thinking about an even. You mentioned Tesla 160 break. What about an AMD? Let's try that. I feel like this name, it's been weak, obviously, here. We have the 50 period there as a bumper. If we break that, the last time we did it, I don't have the exact data here on this chart, but if we pull it down here on AMD, the last time we broke 160, it didn't stop at all. So where is it? Yeah, right here. So yeah, well, I guess it bounced a little bit to 160.05 or so. Where's this level in case we break and get a bounce? So 20s. So, well worth it. 20 cents worth of risk, I think, on a break lower. This is something that I'm going to try. So here comes AMD coming back into 160. Maybe we do just get that flush after all into this market for the closing. So let's see. What time is it now? 3:20. So we've still got a little bit of time left. Down 1.87%. Like everything's broken lower now. So, you mentioned Tesla possibly going to get smacked to the downside on a 160 break. That's probably happening here today. So watch out for that one. I'm already on that AMD break. That could happen right now. NVIDIA break. I mean, was
pulled
Meta
back.
below 500 yet? Did we already talk about that one? Meta was what,
hadn't
504? You said. Oh yeah,
no,
there it is.
It did break.
So it just broke on us, I guess. I don't know when. Oh no, it's been breaking. So it's been.
Sorry.
So that was a good, bless you. That was a good retracement up there for that one as well. So Meta, nicely done on that break. Should have just made all of our money back and shorted Meta there. That was stupid. Let's see what happens with AMD if that breaks lower. What else is near a breaking spot here? Because I don't think this market's going to last. We talked about TQQs. We should have just gone short on that 50 period. We had talked about that retracement there. That would have been real nice, man. That would be well in the money. Oh, SMH. Well, I mean, we could just have a look at all of them. We were shorting this last week up and around 216, 226. Now you're down $10 from that. Coinbase still going. SMH might be the one.
Yeah. Sorry about the sneeze, everybody. Coinbase down 8%. I am going to, I'm going to slap the fail on this. So that guy that was like short Coinbase at 250 and then didn't make a single trade on Coinbase all day. Hi, my name is Neil. And clearly I need to be more aggressive when looking for shorts in Coinbase. Because this, if you're talking about things that are in a pullback and the 50 period moving average and flat bottom breaks and all that goodness, $215 once, twice, tomorrow probably thrice at the 50 period. And if it breaks that, there is a clean move into, 195, 200 in here. Seems like a little bit of a gap. So Coinbase tomorrow, there's a part of me that doesn't want coin to get down 10%, because if it goes down 10%, then it'll be SSR tomorrow, which makes it a trickier short. I'd much rather it hold here and make the move tomorrow and give us another crack at this one as we go to the desk to take care of some business.
Get as much as 50-to-1 leverage when trading Forex at IG. Currencies like Euro and USD can require as little as 2% margin rates and offer $0 commissions trading using a Forex account at IG. For a limited time, traders can open, fund, and trade with IG for up to $10,000 in funding bonuses. Terms and conditions apply.
AMD's coming back up, 162. That's 161.50. So, okay, a good little pop up here. Don't know if it's time to short the pops yet. We're trying to get into the NASDAQ coming through right now. We've seen like the NASDAQ, we always sit here and talk about how damn resilient this NASDAQ is all the time. So maybe there is that's why we were trying to catch some bottoms with Google, we did fine. We got out for flat. We bought, we talked about that. And then Apple broke 173, but again, that's a very, very flat idea that we had there as well. So not too much love lost for that trade, but at the end of the day, it still needs to work, right? And it didn't. So Apple's still breaking. Maybe Apple's the short as well. What is a short? Maybe it's Tesla. And thanks for the nice comments there. We want to give a big shout out to Danielle Shay.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so that's that.
All of our guests are fantastic.
Yeah,
but
big shout out there.
But we don't
check out her YouTube
We only
channel.
trade equity here, right? So we have, we essentially have one guest to come on and be able to wax and teach you guys all about Wax Poetic, teach you guys all about options and some of the entries and trades available, especially around earnings time when I think a lot of swing traders are probably using options to express their trades. But you might be right about, you said Apple too, but Tesla on the short the pop, if this is a mini bounce here, I'm looking back into what has been a stair step down. Since we had that geopolitical news, it was 163.5 that it tried to bounce off of. Then you got some resistance in here right around when we went down. But 163.5, lower highs all the way through. The next lower high would set up at about 163. We do have about 25 minutes to go until we get to VWAP. It's not VWAP. 25 minutes to go until we get to the imbalances coming out here. So you're in those later stages. I'm already trying to grab some more Micron if we can at that 121.40 area. So I am looking to short the pop there as well. But Tesla looks pretty weak for short the pop situation if it's not going to be any chance to get that AMD, which we would have liked. Fortunately, that one's just not really. Oh, it is coming in. Okay, AMD's getting a little bit closer, 161.5. Not VWAP, but hey, you're able to short this pop back into previous resistance if we go a little bit more on AMD.
Okay, actually. Why do I have, oh my God, a whole bunch of grip failed just came in. Oh my God. Okay, I better refresh all of this.
That's not a bad
to make sure, because I don't need any of my AMDs to start firing off right now. Okay, so that looks like a good dip buy opportunity there for Tesla at 161 and change. Make sure I forgot to mention it. Go check out. Are we able to trade now or what? Like, go check out Danielle Shay's YouTube channel if you get a chance. There's a couple good videos there, as Neil mentioned. Hold on, I'm just getting everything set up for the traders stay
Liz8.
late. Like, not only got to trade, I got to.
It's Snoop Dogg, man. You could Liz8.
Yeah. No, I'd love to talk more about random stuff. Okay, so yeah, it's stay Liz8. Yeah, Liz8. Double check that. All right, so I'm trying to find a good long here, but I want to go short actually. So there's the NASDAQ. I was debating TQs right here. Part of my mind is like, are we going to be rallying here into the close? But we did just sort of resist that 50-period moving average. That is, what is that level there? We just went up there. It's not a huge exhaustion candle by any stretch of the imagination, but there's another 50-period. So over the last 30 minutes, we've bounced off the 50-period once and now twice again with a little bit of an exhaustion wick to the high side there. Normally, that is an indicator for me to possibly get out of that trade. But for right now, it's still holding that level. That could also be a break long spot there as well. So something to think about as we look at this market and the rebound potentially into the close. Still down that 1.65%. We have seen this before. When we get those imbalances coming through, we'll talk about those. Those aren't until 350. I missed PLL. I don't even, what is PLL?
That's a penny stock.
Piedmont.
Oh, wait a minute.
Lithium. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, look, some lithium names have been pretty hot fire. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. Up 16% right now. I mean, for me, unless you really know those names, you know, LIT, the ETF has been pretty hot there as well. Let me just check the temperature, speak about hot, on gold right now to see what that's doing. Probably falling with the market. I mean, no, not. Okay. I was just about to say, generally speaking, gold will go up when we get some uncertainty, but I was just saying probably because I thought it was an all asset class. We talked about oil not being up there. Look at what's happening right now to Bitcoin down to 63, but gold just basically retaking highs. I mean, sure, we dipped down into 215, 216. It looks like we held pretty good there, and now back up, looking to close at its highest level on a daily. So gold itself won't close, but the GLD looking to close above this 220.70 area for a brand new all-time high close on GLD. Congratulations, man. Gold looks like it's one of those trades again here as the market goes to the downside.
Yeah,
TSM calls, someone just bought.
It's the only thing there. And thank you for the super chat there, Phil. We were just talking about TSM. You bought some 145 calls. That's what, April 26th. So you're making an earnings play. I mean, I'm not here to tell you a good choice, bad choice. We just went over what we thought could happen to the market if TSM were to miss because they're a bellwether. We're not here to tell you do this, do that. We'll make trades live for you guys and what we think. I mean, TSM. The valuation of a lot of the chip names has gotten a little bit, that's what I want to use here, frothy, I suppose would be the best way to think about it. In the really long term, I have zero concerns about them because they have such an absolute grip on market share. And on top of that, TSM and Samsung are getting some of that government money that you thought was going to only go to Intel, which is another reason why Intel's been under pressure. But I think when you're trying to predict what things are going to do during the earnings season, you know, you got to keep your ear to the ground. I know a lot more about the stock. I'm not invested in it, so I can't tell you. I'm glad Danielle Shay was able to mention what she thought about it. It's been trending to the upside, so the chance that you bounce and find support at the 50 period would be good, and then it's not much to break out this level to the upside, which is what you need to happen, obviously. We'll see what happens. I just said maybe we would get AMD or Tesla actually popping enough to the upside to short the pop, and the second, Tesla looked like it was going to go, trending back into 163, and then we already headed back into the downside. Like, you snooze, you lose. Like, I'm thinking you can get back and short into this level, maybe 162.70, and give it 50 pennies and up here, and instead you can't even sniff any of that. Like, it goes up a little bit, like a 50-cent move to the upside before you're heading right back down. So Tesla giving us no chance at that short. Micron, I'm clearly not going to get the reload there either. If Micron bounces again off this low, I'm probably just going to get out. You're close enough to the 120 that I don't want it to bounce off this, sort of look at that 70 cents and not take it. We're shorting pretty much near the low of the day anyways as we speak. Just another one of these beaten up. We're sitting at the lows, but you're also, when you go to the daily chart, you are at a consolidation support level. So yeah, it looks really weak into this afternoon, but like you're at a support level at the 120, so it's a decent chance that it could hold for the day.
All right, so as Neil's talking, we'll take another 20 cents right there. We'll just celebrate because we finally went short on, well, we've been short, but we finally went short just now on AMD. We were short 65s. We took a 45 right there, as you can see, just hitting. I mean, it's hitting right now again. So hopefully we'll come back into the downside. I am still bidding down here. Actually, I'm at 160.10. We got to go a little bit higher than that. Let's go to 160.20. Oops, I canceled the trade that I had higher up.
NVIDIA just broke 860.
NVIDIA's going down? Okay,
Yes.
All right, well, that's a good. Let's see what happens now, though, for AMD, because it's not really going down as much as I thought it would have, considering what NVIDIA was
right
doing.
back
so maybe,
up.
yeah, okay, I was going to say maybe we're on the wrong name here, but that looks like it's still going as well. So, yeah, NVIDIA, oops. Come on, charts. So NVIDIA does break that 860. That is the low of the day, I'd imagine. Yes, sir. Unless there was some crazy movement off the open. Wow, 860. So you're getting back into these levels again for NVIDIA. Like those of us that thought we had missed that. We were saying earlier today when it was up at 900, man, that was a miss down here at 830. Well, you're not that far away now from potentially getting something here on NVIDIA. Look, we picked our poison with AMD. I hope we go down. We only had a 20% there for 20 cents. We have lower takes here into 160 flat. Let's see if we can get some love for that level, but that's the one that I'm looking at right now for AMD, a little lower than that. And if we're able to, I honestly just think if 161 goes awry, then we get out. So just here it comes up. So just a quick average in here if we can get it. We're in the 80s. We'll quickly average that in, maybe even now just in case. That was an upside move that I don't know why, and we retraced back in. So let's take a little bit of a fill here. I mean, we've made money back this afternoon. It's just, I don't want to throw it completely. Okay, here we go. I don't want to throw everything completely away because this market, as I've already said, seems to be ridiculously resilient once again. And maybe we're not going to go positive by any stretch of the imagination, but if you look at this market, why we could. Again, I have that missing data there, but why could we not retrace here? I don't think we're going to get to VWAP. That would be a ridiculous move. But here we go. We just got some more in on AMD. Actually, we just got a fill there. So here we come. Come bring it back in just a little bit. We'll take some out. Okay, we're just sitting there on the 70s. I'm also bidding 68 now. Maybe this is the dip that we get for AMD. But again, just trying to sort of lick some of the wounds that unfortunately we had to take when we lost system. But here we come back up 161 now. Okay, now we're starting to go. Remember where our stop is, breaking through 161. I'm not standing in the way of AMD, that is for sure. Breaking through 161, I mean, we can give it up here. All right, let's change our stop a little bit because we did take some out. Let's go to 161.10, just that high level there on AMD. That'll be our last stop.
Yeah, I got 10 cents and then I'm reloading Micron, and if it breaks at 40, I'll have to give it up there. But there was a wick bottom on NVIDIA. It broke 860. Got to 59 change, and it's right back up at 863. So got to be careful for a reversal. Early look imbalances here, nothing standing out. Ford is an early look sell, 2 million. Alibaba, 580,000. Visa, 700,000. Kenvue is in there, but not a heck of a lot. So none of the big names are there. Well, TSM's there for 400,000, but that's not a very large number. So let's be cautious going into 350, though nothing standing out that we have to worry about in terms of imbalances. Oh, I did not get the reload on Micron, and there didn't quite get up there enough, unfortunately. Apple's starting to show some signs of strength. Apple back above 173.
Might be.
Apple, I still kind of feel like Apple should be the one off this support level, off this support that it's at. Like it was able to hold this 73 area. Like how many things are setting up that they're at the last couple of weeks resistance levels and trying to bounce, and that's what Apple's doing at 173. I was just probably way too early last time, and now you're starting to look a little bit stronger. So I might go back to the bid off 173 on Apple. Again, relatively tight stops. I mean, you have a local bottom here, 172.80. So it's not as if you're risking a ton of points here if you do get a nice little dip buy in Apple. It's the only thing I've been, outside of that, I mean, Lockheed Martin was a different story to the long side. That had news, and it cut back to VWAP. So We took the long when the news hit, the contract, got out of it for like a 60-cent hit. We did take $1 on the first bit, but then it went all the way down to 453. So Lockheed Martin is holding VWAP. That's what you would expect to happen. Like the stock, with the news that we have and with the contract, you would expect this would close. I would have thought it would have made a shot at the highs. I'd say a disappointment for LMT here. Something to do with resistance on the daily, I'm going to assume.
Yeah, they had Northrop Grumman as well. That went to the other way. So interesting there on a deal news. I'm just trying to watch this AMD kind of like a hawk, but not overly. I mean, it's bouncing off the 50-period moving average. We want lower, we need lower, and I think it goes lower. But I've been scalping a little bit out here because my stop is getting, ever more close to 161 with this. Come on, bring it down, man. We're 20 cents in the money, which honestly, for scalping out, I could take it. But I mean, if this market, oh, come on. If this market goes back up to the upside, we already have our stop, and it's well in range for me. So we'll hold on to AMD. We are watching out for NVIDIA, 863. Too bad that's not back lower. Again, we're still in the money here on NVIDIA. Watching out, we'll also look at the SMH to see where that is. And again, on the day, we're just so close to losing everything right now on all of this. Like the SMH, the 50 period is right there as well, starting to break lower. Look, we're at the 50 period. We just keep on wicking higher here. As you could see, 217.50 or so on a break, maybe. That would start rallying some of these names. But for right now, I mean, here we go. AMD just goes back into the money, then shoots right back up again. Now we're in the 80s. It was just 71, and I was debating getting some out. Like, here we go again. Nice move up, nice move back down. Market trying to figure itself out. Apple is moving back up to the north side right now. So we got out there at 173 off of a 173.10. Some profits there in the 20s, then out for... So that's basically a flat trade. Would have liked to get a little bit more in on that. But yeah, for right now, AMD just doing not much up here, but we do have our stops ready to go on advanced micro devices. So let's go over and see what Adair is up to.
This part of the show is brought to you by Trade Ideas. Real-time scanning and alerting used in our desk by many of our traders every day. See what's moving in the moment with Trade Ideas. Check out the link in the description for 20% off.
Good look there, and thank you for that, Adair. You do see us all the time pop up our trade ideas, especially when I'm looking at the higher time frame. We got it right there. Our layouts, if you're interested in any of our layouts with the scanners we have, like Sean's got the nice VWAP retracement scanner, you can always just ask Michael Noss. Well, maybe not right now, but because he is doing his pet paternity, but we can send you our layouts easily, but you can always ask him if you want anything built. It's a fantastic partnership we've got with them. I reloaded Micron, so it's like a chip afternoon, I suppose, with a little bit of a Lockheed Martin sprinkled in, some Apple sprinkled in. Tesla hasn't really given me much of anything. I just got the reload. We'll look for the low of the day here. You know, this market has been very, very slowly grinding, but if I look at the NASDAQ, and this is most of the names I'm looking at for the afternoon, it has been a slight downward trend. There's been these little bounces, but really the play has been to short the pops. That's been better than the other way, so I think we'll stick to that. It's 337. I think this is your last ditch. So short the pop because the trend has been to the downside. We're starting to work back in. Once we're under 121, we're going to take some out. Kyle W. saying check IBIT. I mean, yeah, you know what? We probably missed a big chance at 65,000 for this. And like this at 37 is essentially 65,000 on IBIT. And it broke that, came right back in, double tapped it at resistance, and then fell like a rock. These big even levels on Bitcoin, I think now that we have the ETFs, have to be trading them a little bit more effectively. Because I made note of it, but I was looking for it to go, and for some reason when I'm looking at a chart like this, like I'm just looking at VWAP thinking, oh, I'll short VWAP. Not even realizing, no, you should be shorting 65,000, Neil. That's not getting to VWAP on your chart. And that was a mistake for me because it went right to 65,000 and fell, and I was waiting for VWAP on IBIT. Let's go to Adara. We've got our afternoon sector watch.
Now let's take a look at some of these names in the S&P 500 that are making outsized moves to the upside or downside. There are actually quite a few upside names here on the S&P 500, and they include Centene, CNC up about 3%, Florida announcing a statewide Medicaid managed care program awards. So Centene received a contract under this. They also got a price target increase from Wells Fargo. So nice look across the board for CNC. We also have MT Bank. This one also up about 4% here. reporting earnings. They did have a bit of a sales miss, just slightly, but an in-line earnings per share and an increase there in by 9 basis points for their capital ratio. So nice look here for MTB. Last but not least, ServiceNow to the downside. NOW here down about 3+% after Guggenheim downgrading to neutral. So lots of names actually making some outsized moves to the up and downside today, guys.
Time.
Oh man, AMD just broke 161, but I mean, 161.30 is kind of that top. Well, that's 43, but I was going to give it to 30 right there. We did get some out when we broke above 161 there, but we're going to try to turn our frown upside down and see about this short. So we were getting, honestly, I was looking over here and we were getting these out. Look, 80s, 82, 78, and then it ran that. And I remember our stop was at 11s, and then it just pulled back in again right there. So heading into the close, it's 340 right now, and it's looking pretty dangerous out there. So let's get ready to rock and roll in this market. Maybe AMD does get that push down that we need right now. It's a dime in the money. Let's put it, there we go. We'll take another piece out there at 01s. But honestly, 161.30, and that will be it for this trade. I mean, I'd be surprised if the market rallies back up. We didn't hear any news whatsoever to go the other way. Like apparently Iran or Israel is planning some kind of a retaliation. And to me, and again, like, you know, it should be a negative thing. We saw the market really react the last time. We're going to have, I think, what was his name? What was the guy's name from Trade Ideas again?
Chris Gomez.
No, Scott Gomez.
Oh, Scott.
But it's the other guy coming on the after show. What's his name?
baseball
Chris Foley?
player.
Chris Foley. Okay, here we go. I didn't want to.
Get down.
I was thinking about Chris Varley all the time. But here we go.
I mixed them up.
I'm going to talk to him about that one. All right, here it is. Nice move. Let's go spin it finally. You know what? Screw you, AMD. Here we go. A nice push back into the downside. We'll put AMD on the board. We still here, baby. And we're not going anywhere. Advanced Micro Devices. So let's see how low we can go on this one as we get moves to the downside. So we'll wait for that. But nice move down in for AMD right now, coming back in. I guess I'll check the calendar to find out what that guy's name is here.
Yeah, we got Micron finally made a pullback. It's you're just shorting the pops, I think, in this situation. And if we get back to the lows, fantastic. I also did pick up. Look, AMD did finally come into this level, so forget about VWAP because that's going to be a little bit off. But it came right into the wick high. We waited for it to get up there. 161.20 would have been here. I got 13s. We're going to take it out on the way to 160.20, it looks like. But we do have some time still. Like, it's 342. So there's some time before we get these imbalances for these bad boys to come down. So let's go to the short. Let's go back. We said short the pops in the trending market to the downside. That's working on both these chip names. NVIDIA, if you're into NVIDIA, just watch out. Obviously, it came back too, but it just did a reversal at 866. If NVIDIA gets back to 860, these two are headed back into the low of the day. So the NASDAQ doesn't seem like it's got it in it today. Like usually, the last couple of times we were in the afternoon show and we were shorting pops in the chip names, I remember vividly because I was in Micron at the time, and it started that stair step to the upside. That second time you got it short, if you took it the second time, it was VWAP. Like it did this, but when it made the second move, it busted that and got to VWAP. This is not as strong. And it's just a different market. It's a different day. You've got geopolitical news. On top of that, you've got names which were making reversals even without that. So even before you had the geopolitical news, Micron was making lower highs after a big parabolic move to the upside. So let's ring the register on these to the downside as the shorts working for now. Green jacket for IBKR tomorrow, says Naresh. Okay, I mean, I feel like if you're saying green jacket for a stock, you're basically, what are you declaring that IBKR is going to be the best stock in the market tomorrow?
Yes, he is.
That's a bold call. Don't they? They before or after?
Maybe that's what he's
Let me
saying.
just double IBKR. I want to make sure I get the timer because I never really know whether it's before or after market. So it's after market. Okay, it's after market tomorrow. I thought maybe it was pre-market. So that'll be on the recap show tomorrow night is IBKR. So can it really get the green jacket the day before earnings? Kind of feel like it's not going to do anything the day before earnings, but Look, tonight we'll go over some of the moves that we had, and we say this all the time, like you don't know what's going to happen in this market. So many things were cruising. Apple was cruising and looking fantastic, and all of a sudden we get one headline, and everything changed. And then suddenly you're looking at a bunch of shorts in the afternoon when it wasn't necessarily headed that way. But that's what's great about the market as well. You never really know what's coming next.
All right, yeah, it's 3:44 right now. We do have those imbalances coming through right now. It's Chris Varley coming through from Trade Ideas, so that should be a lot of fun. He was on our show on Friday, V with a V right now. I'm looking for Fabian. I don't, Ramin, is anyone doing the recap? You're posting it right now. Okay, good. So we'll retweet that very soon. You guys could all find out about that. Okay, so here we go. We do have AMD, guys. AMD is going to be hopefully a good one for us as it's starting to make that move down. It's just a ho-hum 50-cent banger right there. We don't give up. You know, like we could have that stuff happen to us today. Like I said, you know, lose more in an hour than, you know, but it's a nice 15 minutes. We'll see, though. We're trying to recover. We've done a pretty good job. We've shorted AMD right there, so that's really worked out for us. So happy about that one. Could always be happier, though, so let's see if we can get that move down right now into 160 for this epic close for AMD. If that pushes down there, we'll be pretty happy. Let's put a bid at the quarters, and then we'll see. Here it goes down. The man, 50 cents already in the money for this with only 5 minutes until those imbalances. Let's go downside right now for AMD. Tesla as well. Beautiful little barcode action happening against 162.50. I mean, that looks pretty sweet for sure, for the short as well. So I think I like that one, 162.50.
A little late, though.
But yeah, I know everything's a little late in the day. This is why I'm just saying let's just sit back and honestly and kind of give ourselves a little bit of a pat on the shoulder for at least finding this name. There goes AMD back to the downside. It's a 50-cent winner. I mean, for me, that's good. We'll put it right up there again. This will be another one of the top stocks here, but we should have done nothing different. It's just here it comes back in. AMD, a nice move down. We are bidding 160.25. I don't know if you guys heard me say that before, but here it is right now coming back in. AMD, it's a 75-cent winner. So let's put that one on the board and see if this market will continue to flush lower.
Yeah, the trailing stops are in with only 3 minutes to go till the imbalances come in. So either we get a push down into the low or we'll see. I put the trail in here, 160.60, and then Micron, we've got the trail 121. So this gets back above 121 even. I will just get out. Do think, I mean, there's a decent chance. Oh, AMD might have just came out. So, yeah, that just bounced and got back above the 160.50. I guess put 50s in there. It doesn't matter. No. Ring the register. It gave you lower highs. And sometimes when the market, in the afternoon show, it's like the VWAP retracement. But, you know, sometimes the market's trending too far to the downside to be able to get the VWAP retracement. And you got to be able to say, hey, let's just short the pops wherever they happen to be, instead of that price that you really, really want. That was the lesson of the day today. Like, you can't get anchored to, hey, but I really, really like this price or that setup. If it's trending in one direction or the other, just get the price that you can and the setup that you can that goes with the trend. And it might mean you're shorting near the lows, and it might mean you're longing near the highs. But if you never do that, then some of the biggest and best trends are going to be ones that you end up missing. Again, only about 2 minutes till the imbalances come through. It's been a weird day. It has been, like, for momentum trading, it was great in the morning for some long opportunities. Apple was a fantastic one. And then it was great for the shorting opportunities in the afternoon. Momentum's going to end up being good. That said, I can be happy with a good start to momentum trading, but I will not be happy with missing Coinbase today. Like, if there is one thing, when I'm on the train home, in addition to, crap, I didn't set my fantasy lineup for baseball. In addition to setting my fantasy lineup for the week for baseball, I'll be lamenting and trying to figure out how we managed to make how I managed to make no executions on a Coinbase short, especially on a day where 65,000 went on Bitcoin. You know, like, you got to have it that day. At least like today, that's the thing I got to reconcile with myself.
Yeah, big day for crypto, especially if you are on the short side. Back to 63.5 right now. All right.
Buying any dips on it?
No, I'm not. I mean, I like crypto, but I would only buy Bitcoin. So.
Oh, well, I kind of meant Bitcoin.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was looking. I thought we talked about what, 54 or something.
On the week
level there.
There was an hourly chart.
I mean, I like it. I'll look at it I'll look at crypto tomorrow. Maybe I won't tonight. I have another meeting tonight with High Park, so that should be a lot of fun for the rep program. So we're excited to get that going again. Not going again, it happens every year, but this year again, I'll be coaching the all-girls rep team at High Park. So
I
that
should be asking you for like hand-me-down like these.
I have everything, man. I have everything.
Do you have the flat gloves?
No, we don't. Oh, well, we still use those. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get even those ladders. Get these kids going.
Yo, do you need? I actually can give you one.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me look.
I need
for
to get
it.
one.
No, because I still have one from track and field. So I'll
Yeah.
just remind me. I'll
I'm
bring
gonna have to get one of those on Amazon. All right, here comes a nice move up for. Remember,
imbalances in 10.
yeah, sitting around here on imbalances, you have to be very, very careful because they can rip your face off if they go the wrong way. So we already have our targets here for AMD, and here we go. Here are the imbalances right now. So it looks like it'll push down a little bit early. We'll put a bid on in the 70s to see about that. Here are the New York and the NASDAQ imbalances for the day. We'll wait to see if Adara has the exact number. TRP to the downside right now. That's moving. Intel to the downside with 1.7 million shares. Tesla, 800,000 to sell as that starts to go down. We did get our fill, by the way, on advanced micro devices as that just hit there at 160.70. AbbVie is there for a buy. I'm just trying to think of something. There's Marvell, maybe people shorting that, but that's actually going up. So what was the exact number? 700 million to sell. So not a huge number either way. So we'll probably just be wrapped up right now with AMD. See if we tank in, but good trade there. We'll take a bid at 70 and then we'll just figure it out. But for right now, it does look like it's making a move down on that $695 million sell total.
Yeah, and
imbalances.
I mean, not a huge imbalance to the sell side, but I mean, I didn't even see Micron, but it still trailed out for me anyways. It just doesn't matter. Like it bounced, got back through the 121, so it was a solid enough short off the 121.20 level. But in the afternoon, you're just scalping the trade. It never went more than like 50, 60 cents. You got a little bit more oomph out of AMD, getting down to 160.5. 8 minutes to go. I don't see myself putting on anything new here. Trading range. The lesson, you can always just it's always at about 12 o'clock, right? So you can just go on to the main show. We're going to start dropping like the best couple a week instead of every single day, which I think clouds it. I think what we want to do is if you can always watch it live, but for anyone that wants to go back and look at them, just so we're keying in on a couple of the best ones in the week, we're going to put those out a little bit later, just to make it, just to switch it up. But yeah, I think what I try to do with the lesson of the day, and it's not always going to be the case, like I want it to relate to something that I didn't learn that day, but something that definitely was in effect that day. Like it could be like a mistake that I noticed that I made, and that's why today's was based on Coinbase, because I look back and it's like, well, if I like the short, how in the heck didn't I get it? And it was because I missed the first one. And it's not always a bad thing. I'll give you the example of Rivian. Was I short Rivian at the open? No. Was Rivian short at the open another great trade? If you just took the $9 break on Rivian, free money, but like the first available opportunity was curling back off 875, so you just kind of jump into the trade. This is what should have happened with Coinbase, but I didn't do it. And the next time Rivian sets up for a flat bottom break or even dollar break, we're just taking it. Like if it does this and it consolidates above it, like that's, what are you going to do? The stock is just going down. Every time it sets up for a short like that, you should just take the short. It's a short till it's not, and one day it will not be, and that will be the day that you'll see me execute a long position on Rivian. It's been a hot minute since we've done one of those.
Yeah, we have J&J and United Health coming later. Okay, wow, now we're starting to get a nice move to the downside. So we're pretty happy with this, needless to say, as we will end our trading day, hopefully with, well, it's 50 cents, it's 60 cents now in the money. So this is gonna be a good trade to end the day. Finally, thankfully, we do have this move on board here as Apple will end the day in and around 173 as we had major tensions in the market hit around noon where Israel was coming out and talking about a retaliation move towards, unfortunately, Iran, based off of some of the stuff that happened in, of course, over the weekend. So we'll see. I don't see anything hitting yet on any of that, but again, more to come, unfortunately. with that. So we'll wait to see if anything's happening. But for right now, it does look like a downside move, and we're part of it, man. 70 cents in the money now. We are going to bid right here, right now, 160.20. So let's just do that. I thought I had one at 25. I must have canceled it. Let's put it back right there. Sometimes I cancel orders when we get those imbalances out. Neil and I have talked about that. Just very risky to sit there with orders out. But in this case, it would have filled the bid. So
Yeah,
it would have been okay. We did take some more bids out there. So now we'll wait. Here it comes. Nice pullback into the close. I got to go set up the show on the other end. But yeah, the market be flushing in and around here right now. So nice move in for AMD. There's the reversal possibly at 355. So let's just see if we get one more little push. Come on, man. We can get this back for our net. Back in for, yeah, that would be nice if that came.
You got to do the Kramer. You just got to get in.
Oh, yeah, get when you're gambling there at the horse track.
I mean,
that was a great one.
We've already had that. We've had this conversation about like the Seinfeld characters and like who's your
yeah, we got to like
character
Kramer
on the
there.
show. Kramer was an absolute. He was a joker. I just only for myself, and then for anyone. First of all, 355 hit. So before I get into it, was Apple there for 700,000 before? If not, Apple at 355 is now 700,000 sell. TSM, that's the old one. Intel looks like it paired off. That's gone. Ford out of nowhere is now 3 million to buy. That wasn't there before. Ford was getting its butt kicked today, back underneath $13 because Ford can't have nice things. So Ford's a buy and bounce on a day where I'm going to make the assumption you get a buy and bounce because that came all the way back into the 200 period moving average and is trying to bounce off of it. But what I was going to say is I'm a little excited for this. This is Disney news, sort of. It's Disney news. Star Wars, Fortnite, they dropped a trailer, crossover. If you're into Fortnite, if you're into Star Wars, you're going to love this. I'm not going to, you guys can go watch it out there. I just retweeted it. Why? Because I freaking love Star Wars, and if you're into Fortnite, why not? They need to capitalize better. Disney, I'm speaking about. Disney has so many high-quality franchises that the potential, if they start getting it right again, which they used to get it right, if they start getting it right again, I think great things can happen. As I'm looking at a chart of Ford, as I say all of this, Ford at the 200-period moving average. Hopefully, it can hold that. I'm actually selling my shares if it doesn't bounce off this on the weekly. But Disney, Disney's at the 50 period on the daily.
Ooh.
I even have a line drawn here because that's what I do. Like I draw a line on my chart so that I know when you get back into the 50 period, which is also already there. This could be spicy tomorrow. The 113 level. This is a 15-minute chart, but I was sort of talking about the daily in here. If you're bouncing off the 50 period, nice little level for Disney. This should be on the radar. I'm just going to go quickly write this on my iPad. DIS, and then 50 SMA. This is so that I don't forget about this because when you get older, you start to forget things. And if I don't write it down, I might not look at Disney tomorrow morning, and then I'll miss an opportunity like that. Rushab, I have not checked out X-Men 97 yet, but I'll probably get to it at some point. Too busy.
Yeah, my kid was playing Fortnite. There was some other things happening on Fortnite. They're doing something with Avatar and all this kind of stuff, so he's really excited. UNH and J&J reporting tomorrow pre-market. So I've already logged out of all of my stuff, so those should be good names to look at. This is UNH right here. I mean, on a daily chart.
It's about the lawsuits now, man.
Yeah, we've seen some big problems here for UNH, and you can see just on a daily how far down we've come. We're trying to bounce in and around this 430, so watch out for this name. We've talked about the Dow, but UNH definitely holding on for dear life right now at some of these bottoms. That should be exciting. All right, I got to go. Good day today, and I'll see everybody on the other side.
Yes, sir. Check him out on the other side. We got like 2 minutes to go in here. If you got any other questions in the chat, let us know. I'm not going to put any new positions on. As a matter of fact, let me just double check to make sure I have all my scripts canceled. Do not want anything firing off. It's happened before, not to me, but I've known people that let some stops out there, and you don't want those to trigger out of nowhere. Joe Schmo sold 10% of your portfolio. Okay. I mean, it depends on your time horizon, right? Like, I think everybody has a different horizon. And if it's long enough, maybe you're not scared of some of these moves into the downside. Carvana seems that it does not want to fall below 70. So we already saw CarMax with the rough quarter. And Carvana, I mean, it's breaking 70 as we speak. And what I was going to say is it already flat bottom broke. Like it broke support at 75 bucks. It broke the 50 period at $73. So I'm gonna say that 70 doesn't even matter as much as some of the levels that have already gone for cover. I'd be concerned about this. As I look at it, I'm wondering why I wasn't even shorting the flat bottom break today. Like I'm slapping the fail on myself. I should be short a move like that every single time. And like every single time, flat bottom break, post earnings on a related name that was weak, it went down on sympathy, so you got a bit of a trend reversal on the stock, and it broke a flat bottom. That's a setup that I think makes a heck of a lot of sense. Anthony Kerr does feel like maybe this geopolitical news was finally the reason that we get a big move in sentiment that a lot of people have been expecting for a while. But you know what? You play that guessing game, you get yourself in trouble in trading. Just trade the price action on a day-to-day basis, and you'll be absolutely fine. And when it's time, get the camera off me and to Adara. How about now-ish? We got the close. Monday is in the rear view in 3, 2, 1, and 0. And of course I lied because Monday's not in the rear view because you're not going anywhere right now. What you're gonna do is stick around as I thank Fabian and Ramin for doing a fantastic job on the 1s and 2s, as always. Brennan in the mornings, the midday. I think Learn to Trade has come a long way, but the other thing that happened today, and I don't know if we got a chance to say this enough, but it was Adara's first day live trading. So doing the news in the afternoon, live trading, doing the midday with Sharif, Learn to Trade with awesome topics on a daily basis. I think that was absolutely fantastic, and best of luck to her as well. A big thank you, as always, to our guests. We're happy to have Danielle Shay come back on and give us some obviously fantastic perspectives. And like I said, not always giving you the answer you want to hear. That's the thing. When you ask somebody for their opinion, you want them to give you the goods. There's a really cool line that I always like to say every now and then. Like if you care about somebody, you'll tell them what you think, and if you care about yourself, you'll tell them what they want to hear. And around here, we love you guys, and so we want everybody to tell you what you think. We tell you what we think, and we want our guests to do absolutely the same thing. That's one thing we love about Danielle Shay. Well, you know it ain't over because we got the market recap. You do have some earnings tomorrow morning coming through. You got the big move in Bitcoin failing 65,000. You had, of course, the market reversal to discuss. Sometimes you have a strong move to the upside. Sometimes you have a trending market. One piece of news, one headline squashed all of that. And then the NASDAQ ends down 1.7%. So to go over all of it, we'll get the camera off me, head on over to the desk, get the market recap with Sean.
Welcome. Are we locked and loaded? Yes, we are. We have Chris Varley coming from Trade Ideas. But what an exciting day to have him come on. Wow. We had a nice pullback in there to end the day. I mean, it all started very, very quick and very, very early, in and around the noon hour. Unfortunately, we did have some news come through that we had talked about. This is the market right now. Nice downside move. Here's XLE. Let's go over to the Qs just real quick here. So this is our Trade Ideas platform. I like it. I like we have these little indecision, sorry, not indecision, that's an indecision candle. We have two back-to-back charts here, 3-minute and a daily chart. Look at the Qs on the daily, putting in that red candle now, giving it up back into 430. Nice move for the NASDAQ today, down 1.72. And again, after a strong start, let's flip over to a 3-minute chart. After a strong start to the day and to the week, I mean, the NASDAQ was up, man. We were cooking. We were up almost that 1%, and then the market opened. Now, everything was fine real early, and then all of a sudden, in around the noon hour, geopolitical worries started hitting the NASDAQ and the market in general. It's not just the NASDAQ. I mean, look at the SPY. Look at the IWM. I mean, pretty much every single market. Gold goes the other way. Let's take a drink, man. That was crazy. We also had a system issue that just means tomorrow we use more shares. No, we don't. We don't do that. All right. After 1 p.m., the market dropped on reports that Israel was preparing sort of a counter to what Iran did by sending over those drones, so on and so forth. This is unfortunate for the situation that we're in. not unfortunate that this is happening. I mean, every country to each their own. We don't get political on here. I saw some people mentioning that in the chat before. That's not what we're all about. We're just going to talk about what the market does. And I'm going to get that chat loaded up right now as I don't have it. I had to run over here. We took AMD at the end of the day. Here's the chat. Shout out to everybody that's joining us. We do have Chris Varley coming on. He was on Friday to fill in for Michael Noss, so we'll talk to him. My first time talking to Chris, so we'll have a good time there. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, let's keep a clean channel. I know that's not what that means, but shout out to everybody that's here right here. No politics, just opportunities. Yeah, that's what we're here for, right? So thank you, AV, for spitting that knowledge as well. But there's the drop back in. Now, we did see a move for gold, right? You could see gold here basically going the other way. So we've talked to Michael Noss about this as well, about gold. We've talked to every person that we've had on this show. Gold breaking out one more time here. I got to figure this out. You see like how I flipped it over? Now this, you see this, Chris? I know you're watching. I see, so we have daily. I flip to this. We get a 3-minute, but you see this doesn't change. Like I thought that this would change into a daily chart. My side chart, you can't see because my face is there. All right, whatever, we're busy over here doing other things. But you could see gold here on a daily continuously going higher. We had looked for an all-time close today high, but we didn't get that. 221.71 from what I'm seeing there. That was the high. Actually, it still is going to be an all-time day close, right? Because we would have closed at that bar down there, 216, but we might have opened at 221, 216. So it does look like a brand new all-time close high right there. So gold still making news to the upside. Banks provided a little bit of a relief rally today. Goldman Sachs, although only up 2.8 to end the day, did start off nicely up to that 411. Let's check in on JP Morgan. Where were they today? So they also wound up barely up on the day for JP Morgan. There's the day for them. Actually, you know what we should do right here? Tomorrow, earnings coming through. I don't have the earpiece in. We are brought to you by Benzinga. There's some small earnings plays coming at the end of the day here today. If we do see something, I'll report it. But right here, this is the Benzinga Pro platform that we have. Virgin Galactic, okay, that's nothing. Yeah, no major earnings coming through here. CCNE, CNB Financial coming through. We can look at that CCNE. Let me have a quick look here. Just because we're talking banks, let's go to CCNE and have a quick look to see if they're doing anything. CCNE. Okay, CNB Financial, 3-minute chart, sleepy time, so nothing going on there. If we're going to look a little bit at the sectors today, UNG, oh man. UNG continues to get destroyed, man. Down to the downside. Check out a quick daily chart for UNG. Again, breaking lower. Michael broke this trade. Again, I'm only saying Michael, it's Monday, so I got Michael Noss on my mind. But we do have Chris coming. Maybe we'll talk about UNG. All of us know this is the Widowmaker. So as we go to the downside, I'm just going to turn this over here so I can see what Chris wants to talk about. That was a downside move. The only sector up today, gold, up 1.8%. And for some reason, FXI holding fort right now. Did we get a late day move or something in FXI? Why are we positive on that? Still up, and it looks like we did tick down a little bit there on FXI, so we'll have to double check on that one. What was a good move into the close for stocks like AMD? Again, let's zoom back out. Look at this move right there in and around that 1 o'clock moment. We saw it happen in and around noon, bounce back, dip down in. I'm guessing that NVIDIA is getting pretty interesting again at some of these levels. So, I mean, I'm just going to close this. There wasn't much as far as sectors to talk about today. Uranium down. Real estate continues to make moves down. We can flip this over into a daily chart and have a quick look at this real quick. What I wanted to get at, remove my picture here if you can, Ramin. I actually want to show Chris something. So look at this. You see how we have a 3-minute candle here? If I click on this, we switch over to a 3, but I thought this was supposed to change into a daily chart. So there's something I'm doing. I thought we were just rotating back and forth there. So maybe Chris can help me out on that or talk to me about that after. I just think it's one little small thing that we're doing. But again, welcome to Chris. He's going to come on in 5 minutes. We'll talk all about different trade ideas. And again, different strokes for different folks, right? There'll be people that will have swing trades that will look on opening candles for the week, potentially putting on trades for the week. So you look at an open low bar close here on the NASDAQ or on whatever you're looking at. We'll have a quick look there. But look at J&J. So again, on the daily chart, get out of here. This is no use for me right now. J&J, I'm going to push this over as well. So J&J right now at some support back into November bottoms. J&J had some problems. We talked about settlements that they had for asbestos coming in, and then the talc powder as well. That's a problem. That's going to still weigh over them. We'll hear if there's some talk about J&J coming in. Again, nice little number. Big profit, $2.29 per share. UNH, another name, possibly coming in here as well. So that move pulling down in for UNH. So some of these names coming into buy opportunities for the week. We do have big earnings later on in the week, including both TSM, Taiwan Semi, that sort of teased a good number to us last week. And then, of course, Netflix. Shout out to Danielle Shay that came on the show and talked about Netflix for us as well. Take a drink. All right, 444, shout out to Hydration Nation. Bang. All right, there it is right there. Look at UNH on the weekly. Wow. We are coming into, you want to talk about something that's underperforming? United Health down here is at 440, back to 21 lows. You're giving back a couple years here on a weekly calendar, our weekly chart, getting it back into some of these lows. This looks pretty interesting to me. We've talked about the diamonds on the weekly, the Dow Jones. If we can get back down a little bit more into this one, I think we like the diamonds as well to be bought. NASDAQ really hasn't pulled back that far yet. I mean, if you're looking at a weekly chart, you're just now putting in 2 consecutive negative weeks for the NASDAQ. But again, looking out for big stocks like Netflix to come through, which, I mean, where's my Epic pen? Is this Epic pen? Look at this, the richest people in the world. This is actually still from our podcast. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, LVMH set to report as well. That looks pretty exciting. Okay, here we go. So look at the RSI here, right? You're starting to head down here on Netflix. So you're getting an RSI push to the downside right here, as you can see, while we're still trying to hold up. So a little bit of divergence coming off. You can see we had 80 tick, 80 tick, and now an 80 tick on those RSI highs. The last time we were up here for that, we saw a pretty epic fall back down. Now, these are weekly candles. Let me get rid of this and just have a quick look on Netflix dailies, just real quick for all of us, because this is going to be an interesting name. Coming on April 18th, so in just a couple more days, we're going to wait for Netflix. But look, again, I mean, look how low we are. So relative strength really giving it up here in NFLX, plus the 50-period hold of 600. If we lose all of this, I mean, I don't know. We can talk to Chris about this for Netflix, but look at some of this highs. 650, we didn't even really get to that level, but there it is right there, 650 and change. Now starting to make that move back in, and honestly, we lose that. We talked about this with Danielle Shay on, what was it, on TSM? No, her big thing there was Tesla. When does Tesla report? Are they later this week or are they in 2 weeks? Let me just have a quick look to see when does Tesla report. The 23rd. But again, look what happens to Tesla going back here. The daily on this, losing this 150, this goes back to April, so back down a year. If we lose that on Tesla, then we do have a problem. So we are starting to get to some low levels. Another thing that was positive today, before I forget, was SLV right there. Another one, and probably Dr. Copper as well. XME was something to take a look at here as the metals and mining ETF. Again, starting to hold up, but maybe we're losing a little bit there as well. So wow, what an interesting market we have right now. Spiders coming back in, NASDAQ coming back in, and then as we start to pull lower here on some of the metals, we'll have a quick look. But today, metals definitely rule the roost with GLD upside. An interesting name for me on metals would also be Barrick Gold. So look at this pullback in for Barrick as gold taking out highs, Barrick pulling back nicely as well. May 1st is an earnings report for them. Well, you know what? Without any further ado, man, we had bank earnings come through. We had XLF come in. We talked a little bit about that. Look at this pulling back in. We had KRE, the regionals, pulling back into the 200. If you like 200 period moving averages, this could be a good one as well. But let's now, if he's ready for the first time. All right, here we go, Chris. Get ready to rock and roll in the market recap. It's Trader Talk. Let's go. All right, all right, all right. Welcome, Chris. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. Ecstatic to be here. You know, it's as I've mentioned a few times I've been here now, filling in for Michael. It's big shoes. Also, you know, I'm a huge fan of what you folks do here at Trader TV. You know, it's you mentioned before keeping away from the politics and the negative and things like that. And, you know, we're all trying to do the same thing here and eke out a living in a space that is generally as hard as it gets. So I just very much enjoy what you folks do, and to be a part of it is a huge honor.
Great. Well, thank you for all that. That means a lot. I mean, we try to put on the best show possible, and you're definitely helping with that. So a big shout out. Wow, what a move today at noon there. I don't know what kind of a trader you are or anything like that, Chris, but are you someone that trades intraday? Did anything sort of trigger for you? We had that really amazing push to the downside, and when that started to get accelerated, we saw it break 18,000 on the NASDAQ and continue lower. Did anything catch your eye there midday?
A few things. So I'm predominantly a swing trader, right?
Okay.
More success with swing trading. I have, since traders had introduced the races a couple of years ago, I decided at that point, you know, we'd started the market breadth had deteriorated at that point in early January of 2022, and swing trading was starting to become much harder, and you had to pull out of positions a lot sooner, and it was a lot of chop and slop. And so when the races came around for trade ideas, I said, you know, I'm going to start to day trade again and use the simulator at first and see what's going on here. And I don't know if it was just because I had become a decent swing trader and I had more risk management in place and started to apply that to the day trading. The day trading started to work better anyways. And won't be buying Lambos anytime soon, but you know, we pay the bills and we have food in the refrigerator here. So, you know, on Chris, days in the last week or so, like what we've seen, you know, I often think if you have Brian Shannon on a lot, and he often says, you know, cautious, not bearish. And, you know, that's where I've been the last, let's say, 10 trading days or so. SPY has just put in, you know, its first back-to-back losing weeks since the end of October, I believe. And yeah, when that came through, that sell-off moment that you've been talking about here, you know, looking at the Qs or the SPYs, wherever you want to look, you know, all the same things. And I'm not a huge moving average person, generally speaking, but on my intraday charts, I like an 8 EMA on my intraday charts, any time frame, and I like the VWAP. Okay. And as soon as any of those indices, you know, broke below actually around 10 o'clock this morning, they're basically all under pressure from that 8 EMA afterwards. And every single time the price tried to get back up to them, it just slapped it right back down. And, you know, the trend is your friend until it isn't, whether it's on a short-term time frame or a long-term time frame.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a good point there. That's what I'm trying to find, and don't fight that trend. And I sort of was able to flip that up. We had quite a nice move in Tesla also earlier on, and we were able to get out of that. And I don't know if you saw that move, but Tesla today started off pretty nice here. We'll come over to my screen here, Ramin. And then all of a sudden, it was just bang, 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 Tesla all the way down into 160. Who knows where this one stops? We had Danielle Shay on earlier, which is a great guest of ours. Oh, by the way, Chris, before I move on, where can everyone find you? Do you have a handle over there on X? Are you on StockTwits?
Yeah, I'm on X. It's my first initial C, last name Varley 1734. That's where you'll find me on Twitter, or excuse me, X. Okay. And that's, you know, my big social media. Other than that, anybody can find me anytime at info@trade-ideas.com. You know, I monitor that box like it's just like it's my job. So any questions anybody ever has or anything they're looking for regarding trade ideas in the software, I'm always happy to chime in right there for them as well. Okay, good.
Let's talk about something that may hit a little later in this week. Unless there's, I mean, I'll throw it to you in a couple seconds. Let's just sort of spitball here. Sure. Okay, perfect. All right, Netflix. So for me, I don't know if you saw what I was talking about right there, but I'm noticing on the daily chart, again, as we look, and this is something that I've learned from gentlemen, you know, like yourselves and some of these CMTs that we keep on running into. We have the RSI on the bottom here. Every single time we get to 80, I get a little concerned. And we've seen Netflix sort of top out here I mean, not really, I guess into here back in December when we topped out at 80. Then we had a gap fill, which kind of makes sense on earnings, why we would gap up and touch 80 there again. But since then, we've really seen a divergence as we've stayed up to the top in Netflix, but now we're starting to fade out. And for me, I'm a little nervous that if we don't hit that sub number and wind up losing 600, I mean, in your opinion, is there an area other than this gap fill down at 500 that looks interesting for potentially, as you mentioned, a swing play? I always like to wait 3 days. I don't know if you've heard of the 3-day rule, but let earnings hit, let it settle down. But if we can get anything in and around that gap fill of 500, I'm a buyer for Netflix. What does Chris Varley say?
So on Friday, I shared a scan. I called it multi-period low 20. It's the one indicator I really use on my daily charts. Essentially what it's doing is it's looking back 20 days and it puts a line where the low was over that 20 days. And then of course, it moves accordingly as one day rolls off and the next day rolls on. And so it's actually where I look for, a lot of if then scenarios, up and downsides with these kinds of moves. And, as we head into that earnings. And so that first area that kind of really stands out at me is going to be that 565 level or so.
Okay.
I don't know if we have my screen up.
Yep,
I believe
we're sharing it.
we
Yep,
do.
we are.
Yeah. So on that there, you can kind of see right there, and same as you. Let me get that Epic pen, and right in there, that area, you can see where it kind of made that shelf right there. So that's the first area, because even though that multi-period has moved up, gradually, I won't even call them steps. It's more of a ramp.
Right.
Versus the steps that I like to see. I don't think there's a whole lot through there, and we're already down on that 600 number anyways, where we see going back a couple of weeks here with the first red day that happened, followed by a second red day. So that's the first area that my eye is really going to. Do we get there? Like, you'd say, like anybody else, anybody's guess is as good as the next. But those are the two things I'd be really looking for. Like you said, that 600 number. And after that, I don't think that it's, unreasonable to be looking that deep at this point.
Right.
We've seen before when Netflix does not come in and comes in and the market does not like its earnings. We've seen it really taken to the woodshed before. So I just don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, we had Disney make that nice move up into the 120, 125 area as well, and that has made a move back down. I looked at Disney today, but I hadn't had too much of a look at it. Yeah, that's a nice move down on Disney as well. Chris, hitting that 50 period. I like a 50 period moving average. You just talked about that 20-day support. Wow, down into one. Okay, this is looking pretty nice up there as well. Look where we are on the RSI. What is your favorite indicator potentially? Maybe you've already mentioned this, but if you're looking to open up a swing trade, is it just those periods you were just looking at? Is there some sort of a secret that you can give to all of our viewers that you look at? And do you start them at the beginning of the week, close them at the end of the week? I know that's something that Michael does a lot, starts at the beginning, closes near the end, looks at monthly candles. What is the one sort of secret sauce for you in opening up and starting a position?
So I'll go with two things. First is that multi-period 20. The second is what I think is underutilized tool in trading is our compare count windows. So that's what these black windows are that you're seeing there with the red and green lines on them. One of them I call it 30-day market breadth. And essentially our new high alert looks back using the weekend. So that's why I use 30 days. And so it's, always looking back a full trading month, essentially. What I have noticed is that when you see that to the greens, today we have a green side down 96%, obviously, quite sell-off. But when I'm seeing day after day of that above 75, and I'm starting to find stocks that are coming and settling into that multi-period 20, those are the kind of moves that I'm looking for there. I try to be as patient as I can. I start to look at the likely levels, as Michael said, if it hits this level, I'm wrong. If it hits this level, I'm wrong. That's where I'm out. So that's what I start to do there. And as Disney, that's kind of a nice looking opportunity, to be honest. Not running into it right now, given the environment and everything like that. But if we were to settle a little bit, and let's say Wednesday, the market is having itself an okay day, and we start to move in. Disney's something that I'd be looking at right now, to be honest with you.
Yep.
We're down here at that 112.90, give or take. And, if it were to hold around this area, and we get the market wins back on our side, 120 doesn't seem to be out of the realm over the next week or plus back to the upside. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm looking at that multi-period here. You want to be extra conservative, larger price stock, 108, 106 to the downside. Obviously, as you move towards that 100, you might see some people really spooked and kind of pass right through that 100. So I like to be very conservative with my stops. You can always get back in. The other thing that I like to do with trades like this, and especially with a market like this, is don't go in full size. I am not going to go in for a swing position full size. Go in, if I'm going to go in a little bit earlier in the day, if I feel like the compare count windows are lining up with that multi-period, go in at a third, maybe closer to a half. If it continues to look good, then start to add a little bit from there. Okay. I'm also not afraid to pull out really quickly on the upside for any potential profits. I just find that when the cookies are on the table and you take them, nobody else is able to get to them before you can. So those are the kind of things that I'd be looking at and thinking about, just as Disney as an example and favorite indicator. Yeah. One thing before we pass back here, you were mentioning before on picture-in-picture charts.
Yeah, what's up with that?
There should be a clock there indicating the time. Now, I'm not sure what version of the software you're on. We are doing some experimenting internally with it. So depending on what version of the software that you're on, that could be where the impact is. We're experimenting with 1 month, 60-month, year, 1 year, and 5 year timeframes inside those charts as well. So that may be what you were seeing.
All right. You know what? I also may just bother Michael Noss and get him to fix it. No, I won't do that. Okay, I did, Chris. I don't know if you're down with this, but I said to the audience if they had any questions to ask of you, and one has come through. I may know the answer to this. I know you've talked about it a lot, but a lot of these people, over 2,300 watching right now, they've asked me about the significance of the 20 period. I think it's because there's 20 periods in a month when we're talking about if we're looking at it daily. Is that the answer? Did I just answer the question for you there?
Yeah, look, the multi-period comes from a position 20-day range filter that we have. And I had asked Michael at some, you could put that as a swing low actually on the charts for trade ideas. But there's a few other things that will come on the charts as well. And I just, over the years, I've really cleaned things off of my charts. And I asked Michael, is there another way for me to do this? He said, oh yeah, easy. All the code's there and I'll just put it in. It does it. There's no server tax. There's no math to be done. And it actually all exists on the back end. So he put that in for me. But, if we were to put a 20 period on here, you're going to find how nice where the 20 period is now kind of lines up with, this indicator here for me. So, I just threw it on as a red line here. We're kind of sandwiched in between those two. And again, something I've often said in some of the live streams that I've done for Trade Ideas support in general is something's only as important as it is to your trading plan. If you're not using a 20, if you're successful, you're not using a 20 period, you're not looking to do anything, to change anything. Irrelevant. If you're someone that's still searching and trying to figure out who you are, whichever time frame it is, the 20 period is phenomenal on any time frame actually, for the reasons that you discussed. The other thing is everything we're doing is psychology, right? We're watching price and volume play out as psychology of human beings on charts. Yes, there are some machines and there are some algorithms and things like that. But at the end of the day, who programmed all those things? Human beings. Right. And when those human beings see things happening with those machines that they don't like, you better believe they're pulling the plug right away on it. And so with the 20 period being so popular, there's no reason that if you are in search of something to not use it.
There's a lot of, again, shout out to Adam and shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you for that explanation there, Chris. And I think the important thing about any kind of a study, as you've mentioned, back testing. I mean, look to see, does it hold? Any of these strategies, does that 20 period hold? What does it look like when it doesn't? Do I reverse into the short potentially if it breaks lower? But okay, I'm not going to take any more of your time. But you know what, Chris? I'm going to try to figure out what kind of a guy you are. So I'm come over to my screen. I don't know if you can see this or not, but here we go. All right, you got to choose one of these. We talked about this on the podcast that we had on the weekend. All right, I don't know if you're a health freak or not. Brendan had a problem answering this. But look at this. If you had to eat one from one fast food place. You could choose any of these. McDonald's, Popeyes, Taco Bell, Chipotle. I have no idea what Jimmy John's is other than a sandwich place apparently. Arby's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, Panera, or Subway. Chris.
I guess I'm going Panera.
Okay,
I guess I'd go Panera. I won't call myself a health nut or anything, but I have not had McDonald's since July of 1999. Long story.
Hold on a second.
I'll stay away from that story, but that was
No, you won't. No, you won't. You won't stay away from that story because the thing about it is, Chris, like not everybody remembers the exact day, especially when you're talking 25 years ago. The last day I had McDonald's, like, was that like a wedding day for you? Was it a first boy? Like, you only look 30 years old to me anyways, so I don't know exactly the story. And guess what? Now you have to tell us. It could be maybe a brief story if it's a little embarrassing, but why in the heck do you remember July blah, 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 1999?
So no, not an embarrassing story or anything like that. A friend of mine and I, we were dishwashers at a restaurant, and we were on a double shift, there was a resort, and, we had a 30-minute break, and we ran over to this McDonald's that wasn't far from where we were. At the time, down here anyways, the number 2 meal was 2 cheeseburgers with fries and a drink. We both ordered a number 2 meal, all for 4 burgers. When we went to pull away from the drive-thru, had no burger in it. It had the pickles and the mustard and ketchup and onions, no burgers. And so we stopped, went back inside, and they thought that we were trying to scam free burgers out of them. So we just left the food on the table, and I said, if you guys can't make a burger, then I don't need to eat here anymore. And that was the end of it.
All right, so it's just more of your morals, you're not okay. I got
Essentially.
You. Where are you located anyways?
I am just outside of New York City, probably about 10, 12 miles north of Manhattan in the suburbs. Beautiful. Right along the Hudson River. Out my window, you can see the Hudson River.
Gorgeous, man, gorgeous. Well, the next time you're here in Toronto, make sure you come give us a visit, and we'll sit here live in studio. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris Varley. They can go find you on X, find you at Trade Ideas as well. Thank you so much for all the insight and the good talk today.
My pleasure being here. Thank you again for having me.
That's Trader Talk. Ciao, my guy. All right, we did it again. There we go. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Varley. Talking a little bit about Disney, giving us some different indicators to look at. I had some fun there with that. And yeah, honestly, you're not coming on here and saying you have a story and not telling it. Shout out right there. That was a good one. I thought there was going to be something else other than missing the patty of meat. I feel like that might be an everyday occurrence there. I just think it's interesting that McDonald's up 100% since 2014 in pricing. Meanwhile, inflation, we talk about that all the time with food prices, so on and so forth. McDonald's really, I think McDonald's can solve some of their woes, honestly. I mean, the stock starts to move to the downside. I'll just sort of spitball on this because I wasn't planning on talking about this. But again, McDonald's, let me zoom this out. I mean, nice move down in. GLP-1 worries obviously are going to be hitting this name, as we've seen different names like PepsiCo and Coca-Cola and some of these names pull back due to that exact reason. But I just feel like it's too expensive. And maybe, I don't know, again, don't go there that often, but when you do, I look down there, and I think I took, it must have been because I had a lot of hockey, a lot of stuff happening over the Christmas or over the winter, and even now. We're at four rinks this weekend alone, so pretty crazy stuff. But anyways, buying combos, I one time took, I think it was maybe 3 of her friends, so maybe there was 4 or 5 of us. It was $60, $70. You're talking about, $15 a combo, something like that. It can get expensive, so definitely watch out for there. I think McDonald's needs to lower their prices. Okay, that's about it. I want to thank, Sticky Note review. Yeah, let's do that real quick. Today's Sticky Note brought to you by, of course, the market absolutely tanked. So if we're going to look there, thank you for your patience. We're a little late with dropping this today. I really like the Apple 174 level. So we could talk about this. Tesla 168 long. Unfortunately, my layout didn't load over here, so I can't log in to show you how we traded these. Google long. We only had longs written on here, and AMD. Palantir really got going at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day. Let me just check really quickly on Palantir. Look, I came in long because of 2 reasons. The The first reason was the last time we had, I think it was the last 3 or 4 times we had different invasions and geopolitical worries. The market actually rallied on that. I thought Israel's sort of, and the United States' response to Iran was somewhat muted, and I thought we could go the day without having anything like this. Then all of a sudden, midday, we had the drop of the news, and unfortunately, we talked about that, where it looks like, it's not, and again, not to get political, it's just that's what started the market back down. That's why when I said, unfortunately, Israel will respond to this, I don't mean that like, unfortunately, they're, you know, it's a war. It's just, unfortunately, the market makes that move down, and look what happens to Palantir. So we had a nice move up there, and then right around 10:30, we got to that 23 area, and then we came back in. But the thing about Palantir is, I like the long, and I think there's a dip buy opportunity. I just now wonder that if we get this push down, and a shout out to Dan Emmons and everybody that's been talking like this, I still think NASDAQ comes into that 17.3, 17.4 area. Unfortunately, this platform doesn't have, you know, NASDAQ entitlements there. But coming back in on the Qs, I look for like 420 maybe tomorrow. And then we'll look to buy some dips at the 200 period into 400, which unfortunate brings us all the way back to the beginning of the year. I honestly think the NASDAQ can give it all back. If we miss over the next couple days with earnings, we're going to have some problems. If TSM gives it up, if tomorrow J&J and UNH, healthcare downside, banks downside with Morgan possibly, plus JP Morgan, I don't know. What do you guys think? We'll see tomorrow. Join me at 8:30. A big shout out to Chris Varley. Big shout out to everybody that's with me today. But we're not going anywhere until we do this. All right, Sebastian, thank you so much for the nice comments. Great job. Traders, stay late. I got to get out of here. I have also a meeting with High Park Baseball tonight, so that should be a lot of fun. What's up to Adam DeLuz here? What's up to CompuCare team? What's up? Thank you so much, Sebastian. They're Dan Emmons. Okay, so the 100-day for ES is 49.50. I do think we will have to watch out for 5,000. NQ, okay, there it is, so 17.4. So thanks, Dan. That's what I was saying. 17.3, 17.4. I think we could have a little bit of a bounce back right there, right now. Shout out to Roll Call. Oh, what's up? What's my favorite place to eat around Toronto? I really like, this is not, they're everywhere now. My favorite burger joint is Burgers Priest. I really, really like that place. I think that's a great place to go to. Some places around here, Tironi, good place for Italian food. Kai, a great place for some sushi. My favorite place, though, it's in the West End. Go grab a steak at Harry's. Those of you that are around here, we're going to go to Harry's when you come down here. West End, I really like that. Shout out to Harry's. If anybody's watching, send me some sort of a gift card. We'll go there. No, hey, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'm Sean Katina. This is Trader TV Live. We're brought to you by Real Trading. Big shout out to Ramin. Let's not stay too late, and let's get out of here right now. Join me tomorrow at 8:30. We'll do this all over again. Ciao.